CBS Sports presents the National Football League. Today, the Detroit Lions against the Chicago Bears.
From Soldier Field in Chicago, the Bears playing host to the Lions, a renewal of one of the oldest rivalries in the National Football League. And just a few seconds ago, the show of solidarity once again, even with a tentative strike settlement, the handshake in midfield just before the toss of the coin. And that was mixed with a lot of boos from the fans here at Soldier Field. Hello again, everybody. I'm Jim Kelly, ex-Bears great Johnny Morris alongside. Johnny, intensity and concentration, two words that we've been hearing as we've been talking to both the Bears and the Lions camp this week. And there's a question mark as to just how much intensity and concentration we're going to see this afternoon.
Well, I would say it has to be off a little bit, Jim, because of the fact of the strike situation and because of the fact they've only had 3 or 4 days workout. But these are football players. They're going out to play a football game, and I think they're going to forget all about that and concentrate on football. I think we're getting a real good tip early. We'll watch the offensive and defensive lines, the snap of the ball, and see how they hit there, and that'll give us an idea of intensity. But they're going to play football.
Okay, Johnny, of course, as far as the Bears and the Lions are concerned, the defenses are both ahead of the offenses at this point after an 8-week layoff, and both defenses did a real good job in containing the other's offensive star, Billy Sims and, of course, Walter Payton. But, of course, the Bears have a new look on offense. They go with a rookie out of BYU, Jimmy McMahon.
That's right. Mike Ditka is 0-2. He hasn't won a football game as a head coach regular season. He's decided to go with his #1 draft choice, Jim McMahon out of BYU, 56 NCAA records. You know, the quarterback situation for the Bears has been kind of up in the air. So Ditka says McMahon is a winner. He's going to go with him. He's going to make mistakes. He is a rookie, but that's what he wants to do. As far as the Detroit Lions are concerned, of course, it'll be Eric Hipple starting for Detroit, and that's another can of worms. As you know, Gary Danielson has done very well, but it'll be Jim McMahon for the Chicago Bears as they're getting ready to kick off.
And, Johnny, the Lions have won the toss. They have elected to receive. They will defend the goal to our right. The Bears will kick off from the 35-yard line. As you look at number 4, John Rivetto, 6 foot, 180-pounder in his second year out of Southwest Louisiana. And back deep for the Lions, Robbie Martin, number 83, along with Alvin Hall, number 35. So we're just about set to start, if you will, the second season. 2 games have been played, 7 yet to go. 8 in each conference. The top 8 out of 14 make the playoffs. Alvin Hall back near the 20, up to the 25-yard line, to the 30, to the 32, and that's where the Lions will operate from. 1st and 10 to go from that point. Calvin Thomas, number 33, in there on the hit defensively for the Chicago Bears. Eric Hipple will start at quarterback this afternoon for the Detroit Lions. Gary Danielson has relieved in both of the Lions' 2 wins, however, and we expect to see him if Hipple is not able to move the offense. As you look at Bussey, the fullback, Billy Sims, of course, the former All-American, and they're the offensive front for the Detroit Lions. 1st and 10 to go, Detroit at the 31-yard line. Leonard Thompson is in there with some question whether or not he would start. He's got a very tender ankle. 39, they wind up the slot to the left side, and Thompson gets the first ball thrown by Hipple. He's up to the 35, across the 35, up near the 39-yard line. A pickup of 8. It'll be 2nd down and 2. Otis Wilson in his 3rd year out of Louisville in there on the hit.
I would say that Leonard Thompson is okay. He looked okay on that play. As the Lions came out with a pass on the first play, we might see a lot more passing today. As you look at the Bears' defensive line, same defensive line as they've had the first 2 games of the year. The linebackers, Wilson, Singletary, and Campbell. And there is the defensive backfield, Lenny Walterscheid, starting in place of Doug Plank, who was out with that bad back spine.
2nd down and 2. Opening drive of the Detroit Lions after the kickoff by the Chicago Bears. Billy Sims. 1st down, Detroit, up near the 43-yard line as Sims slithers forward for a pickup of 3. Walterscheid in his 6th year out of Southern Utah State, free agent, in there on the tackle. 1st down, Detroit.
Well, it'll be very interesting to see how Sims and Payton do. They were 2 players who came back and talking with the coaches, the best shape of all the players on the team. They both came back in good shape, and I guess that goes along with pride and performance and great football players. They're both ready to play. But as to whether or not they can carry 20, 25, 30 times a game after just 2 or 3 days of regular workouts remains to be seen.
Sims, the first time the Bears and the Lions hooked up, 33 yards on 13 carries. Scott wide to the left side from the I-Pro set. Hipple to throw, the 2nd successive 1st down. He puts it up, and he overshoots David Hill, who was open down at the 40-yard line. But a good rush put on that time, Johnny, by the Chicago Bears.
Yes, and without the blitz, and that's another question mark, Jim. How much will these teams blitz? Pass blitz, run blitz? the offensive lines need a lot more time to get ready to get the timing down, whereas in defense you kind of play roughshod a lot more than you do on offense. So you'd have to say that the defenses have a little bit of advantage going into this kind of a situation that's like a new season. And if you talk about a new season, I would say the Lions have an advantage. They're traditionally fast starters. They always start off fast in the season with a couple of big games, and this is almost like a new season.
There you see the stats on Eric Hipple. 2nd down and 10 from the 44-yard line of the Detroit Lions slot formation to the left side. Hipple with a straight drop over the middle. He's got David Hill, and Hill is up into Bears territory at the 45 and very close. I believe he picked up the first down. Wilson and Fensick in there on the tackle. We'll show you Gary Fensick on the hit right here. David Hill, who had a touchdown catch in the first game against the Chicago Bears.
In fact, he's had a touchdown catch in both games. As you look at Gary Fensick, one of the more militant of the players in this strike situation, Hill went away from number 50. There's Singletary, the middle linebacker, and just turned and stopped in the triangle of Chicago Bears. So he found the right spot, found the hole, and that's what a good tight end will do.
Coming into this game, David Hill, 7 catches for 68 yards and 2 touchdowns. Wide receivers both left and right. 1st and 10 Detroit at the 45-yard line of the Chicago Bears. Hipple with a long count. Looks for Scott downfield, but in the grasp of the Chicago Bears and a loss of about 12 yards all the way back at the 43-yard line. Sacked by Danny Hampton in his 4th year out of Arkansas and Jim Osborne in his 11th year out of Southern.
Danny Hampton will come from the outside as Hipple couldn't find his receiver. He's looking for Fred Scott to go back to the corner, and Hampton jumped up and then made the tackle. He's already been in on 22 tackles in the first 2 games of the season. That's pretty good for a defensive lineman.
So it'll be 2nd down and long yardage for the Detroit Lions, who took the first possession and rather impressively marched down into Bears territory. But a big defensive play by Hampton and Hartenstein to drop them for the loss. Wide receivers are left and right. Hipple looking at 2nd down and 20 yards to go. An obvious pass situation. The Bears show the nickel defense. Hipple will not try to get it all back. Sets up a screen and overthrows the intended receiver, Billy Sims, at about the 41-yard line. So there you've got a good example, John. A very simple screen pass off in the left bat, and simply the timing is off.
Yes, it was. And, you know, Hipple is the starting quarterback, and he did very well last year. He's kind of a big play type of quarterback, but when you stop to think what Gary Danielson has been doing, he's passing at a 68% efficiency, whereas Hipple was only 36% in the first 2 games. But Monty Clark, I talked to him last night, he says Hipple's a starter, and he says that's the way it's going to be unless something unforeseen happens. And twice Danielson had to come off the bench and do very well. But Hipple, remember he started his career against the Bears a couple of years ago on that Monday night game and threw about 5 touchdown passes against the Bears, threw for about 400 yards.
And perhaps another sign of the long layoff, the fact that the Lions took an awful lot of time to get up to the line of scrimmage, and faced with 3rd down and 20, Johnny Morris, Eric Hipple has to utilize one of their timeouts very early in the first quarter. So a mistiming play and the pass out on the flat to the left side on a simple screen to Billy Sims where the ball was overthrown. Now Eric Hipple has to use a timeout as they took too much time getting out of the huddle. So you can see some of the effects of the long 8-week layoff already. We're scoreless early in the first quarter. Jim Kelly, Johnny Morris back with you at Soldier Field here in Chicago. The Bears nothing, the Lions nothing. Early in the first quarter, Detroit looking at 3rd and 20. Hipple lines up a flood formation to the left side. Freddie Scott is in the slot, and out wide to the right side is Billy Sims. Hipple needs 20, goes deep. Receiver fell down, intercepted by Terry Schmidt. Fakes the reverse, and the Bears come up with an interception. 1st and 10 Chicago at the Bears 30-yard line. The intended receiver fell down, and Hipple put it up, picked off by Schmidt.
I think that was Leonard Thompson. He'll be off to the right of your screen as you see Hipple go back for the pass, and he throws the ball just as he slipped down. And Terry Schmidt, that's probably the easiest interception of his lifetime. Nobody around, just grab it in and take off and run. He's not the greatest offensive player in the world, but he's got the ball, and so do the Chicago Bears.
Bears offensive front. Jim McMahon, the rookie from BYU, sets wide receivers left and right. Walter Payton in the backfield along with Matt Suhey. Suhey behind the black of Walter Payton up to the 35, across the 35 to the 42-yard line. 1st and 10 Chicago, brought down by Alvin Hall out of Miami of Ohio.
Big play for the Chicago Bears. They have been averaging only 1.7 yards on 1st down the first 2 games of the season. That time they got a big gain. And watch Noah Jackson, 65. He may be a little bit overweight, the pulling guard here, but he throws a nice block on Fantetti as Suhey gets down the field, finally knocked down by Alvin Hill, number 35.
First and 10, Chicago Bears up at their own 42-yard line.
Hall, I should say. I said Hill.
Out over the ball at center. Number 52 is Danny Neal. The guards are Jackson and Williams. The tackles Van Horn and Lick. They now move to the I pro set. The up back is Suhey. Tight end in motion. And Matsui gets the call again up near the 43, maybe the 44-yard line. Fumble on the play. But the Bears got it back, and they actually picked up 2 yards on the fumble, John.
Matsui was alert to recover that fumble as the Bears moving the ball on the ground. James Scott brings in the play. This is a new first for the Bears. Mike Ditka is not calling the play. Now, Ed Hughes is calling. The offensive coordinator is calling the plays because Ditka says that he just hasn't been able to get a handle on calling the plays and being in communication with these players on the sideline, so he's going to let the offensive coordinator call the plays so that he can have a better overall view. That's the change, and as you know, the Lions also send in their plays.
From the 46 of the Chicago Bears, it's second down and 6 to go. The rookie, Jimmy McMahon, out of BYU. Ricky Watts to the left side, James Scott to the right side. They fake the ball to Suhey. Lions with a blitz on. McMahon reads it well, and he's got Suhey wide open in the left flat. Suhey's got a first down and more all the way into Lion territory before Alvin Hall, the second-year man out of Miami of Ohio, finally chased him out of bounds. And 2 successive Chicago first downs have brought the Bears crowd alive. They were very quiet early.
And watch 65, Noah Jackson, and 57 to the right of your screen. You'll see the key block right there. Down goes Fantetti as it was Noah Jackson with the block, and Matsui takes off, carrying it one-handed, then tucks it away to the other side from the tackler, and the Bears are in Detroit territory at the 41-yard line.
I thought Joe Paterno taught them to carry the ball with 2 hands, John.
Well, you can carry it with 1 if you can run fast, as long as you tuck it away before they hit you.
As long as you don't drop it, right?
Right.
First and 10, Chicago. James Scott wide to the left side. Brian Batson flanked out wide to the right side. Motion on the play. The tight end, 87, Emory Moorhead, came in motion, but you saw movement on the right side. And again, simply a timing play.
Well, it's going to be a bit ragtag. It's got to be when you have... Well, the Bears had 4 days of workouts. The Lions had 3. As you know, they voted not to go out that first day, and the only reason the Bears ended up with 1+ workout, it didn't work out this time. They got a penalty.
All start. That's Keith Van Horn, the second-year tackle out of USC. Called for motion on the play. John, the Bears had a vote that was pretty evenly split 20-20 the first time they took the vote, whether or not to practice or not. So there's a lot of discontent in the Chicago camp over the tentative strike settlement.
Same thing with the Lions.
First and 15 from the 45-yard line of the Detroit Lions. They go to the I pro set again. Suhey is the up back again. Moorhead in motion. Payton has yet to touch the football. McMahon's first pass. Incomplete. In and out of the hands of the intended receiver out in the right flat. That is Matsui out of Penn State.
I think it'll be interesting for Bear and Detroit fans to watch Jim McMahon. One of his greatest assets, if you look at Monty Clark, the head coach of the Detroit Lions, off to another fast start, 2-0. And you have to talk about somebody who was disappointed in the strike happening. When you're off 2-0 and you got some momentum going, the last thing you want to do is have 8 weeks off. But Monty Clark says his team is back intact. In fact, he reactivated Eddie Murray and Tom Cadaney, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And he figures he's going to get a good game out of his team.
Second down and 15 for the young quarterback, Jim McMahon out of BYU. Same formation again. And again, Moorhead comes in motion to the near side. McMahon's second pass. Chased out of the pocket. Looks for that. They're going to come back. And McMahon's got running room, goes out of bounds wisely at the 40-yard line with several Lions in pursuit. Jeff Williams threw the block that sprung him around the right side, but finally Detroit chased him out of bounds. That'll bring up third down and long yardage for the Chicago Bears.
And what I started to talk about was the fact that McMahon is able to elude the rush very well. That time, the rush was on. He just did a little zipsy-doo and got to the outside. And he's not what you call a running quarterback. And the whole time that he was running, he was looking to throw the ball. A lot of quarterbacks, once they break out of the pocket, they have that run instinct. Like Vince Evans of the Chicago Bears. He likes to run the ball. Jim McMahon, 56 NCAA records. That's a lot of records.
And he's looking at 3rd and 9, Johnny. He's got a slot formation to the left side. Now in motion to the right side and lining up is Walter Payton, number 34, who has very strangely yet to touch the football. Flag on the play. Looked like the Lions jumped offside. Free play. And it's incomplete down at the 22-yard line. Ken Marjoram, number 82 out of Stanford, had it in his grasp. But then it was shook loose by the Detroit Lions. A big hit back there by Alvin Hall, number 35, the second-year defensive back out of Miami of Ohio. But let's check the call. Preliminary indication offside against Detroit. So it'll bring up 3rd down and 4 yards to go for the Chicago Bears. You know, in talking with both Mike Ditka and Ed Hughes yesterday, you and I, when we were out at the Bears complex and watching them work out, we said, what is the single most positive thing you can say about Jim McMahon? And they both said, he's a winner.
And that's exactly the way Monty Clark feels about Eric Hipple. That's one reason he's going with him. He feels that Eric Hipple is a winner.
Third down.
We have to give some credit to Hitler Gray there. He made that last hit there on Marjoram to force the ball out, and it turned out to be a key play because of the fact that the penalty was against Detroit, and the Bears would have refused the penalty and had the ball downfield much further.
So it's 3rd and 4. Big defensive series, obviously, for the Lions, and a key offensive set as they go to the shotgun now. McMahon standing back at the 40-yard line, flood to the left side. He's got Payton open, crossing underneath, and Walter Payton is wide open. And McMahon, that time, Johnny Morris, was just a little bit late in picking Payton up. He was wide open, but then number 28 came over to close it off. James Hunter, the 7-year defensive back out of Grambling, and a first-round draft pick back in 1976. And you can see the frustration now etched on the face of Jimmy McMahon.
Well, here comes the special team out on the field, 4th down, and John Rivetto is going to go for the field goal.
He's 1 out of 2 so far in the young season, connecting from 44 yards out, and he missed from outside of 50 yards. Out of the hold of Basnagel at the 41.5-yard line. This will be a 51.5-yard attempt for Rivetto. Wind at his back. Now the Bears ask for a timeout.
Well, see, the big thing is the Lions are a little bit suspicious because the Bears are at the 34-yard line. That's pretty close in. And they have an option that they can fake the field goal if they want. And the Lions were pretty leery, so now they're going to get it all together again.
We've got some scores from around the NFL today. The New Orleans...
Jim, it was a classic Lombardi sweep that the Rams went to down in Atlanta to get their first touchdown on the board. Watch the 2 guards pull. Here comes Wendell Tyler. It's a 5-yard touchdown. L.A. leads Atlanta by 7. Let's go back to Jim Kelly.
Thank you, Brent Musburger. The Rams on top over the Falcons by a score of 7-0. Also 7-0, the Jets leading the Colts in the first quarter. McNeil, a 37-yard touchdown run. Dallas has fallen behind Tampa Bay. The Bucs with a field goal from Bill Capiz from 26 yards out. 3-0 Tampa Bay. And 3-0 the Saints on top over the Kansas City Chiefs. Tony Fritsch, a field goal from 19 yards out. Brent will be keeping us up to date on all the scores around the NFL today. And, of course, Brent Nerve at halftime. This telecast presented by authority of the National Football League. It's intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Chicago Bears and the National Football League is prohibited. Well, how are you betting, Johnny Morris? Are they going to kick or is this the fake?
I think he's going to kick with all the to-do made about getting this thing set up. I think he'll kick.
Lions have no one back deep. Rivetto with the wind at his back. Basnagel will spot it down at the 42. It'll be a 52-yard drive. Snap, spot, kick. It is wobbly, and he John Rivetto, a 52-yard field goal, and the Bears strike quickly. It is 3-0 Chicago. Well, that brings the crowd to life. How about that one? Rivetto bangs it through. It was a wobbly end-over-end kick. Chicago 3, Lions nothing. So Hipple, rather than going for all of it, gets about half the yardage back. Singletary and Wilson in there on the hit defensively for Chicago.
Good play by David Hill. He's going to see Singletary to the inside, and he just dips to the outside. They have a man flaring out in the flat, so Hill will just stop his pattern. Now, he'll go away from Singletary and then not go too far out because there's another linebacker out there to pick him up out into the flat. So he just stops right in the middle and catches right in between those 2 linebackers, Wilson and Singletary. Good play by David Hill. Smart football.
David Hill, a 7-year pro out of Texas A&I, listed at 6'2", 230, but he looks a little beefier than that. 3rd down and 8. Slot formation to the right side. Leonard Thompson out wide to the bottom of your screen. Hipple gives it off in the backfield. That's Dexter Bussey out of Texas at Arlington. Looked like they had first down yardage, but the Bears sealed it off very quickly.
What happened there was Todd Bell, one of the defensive backs, the extra backs, was right up in the middle of the line, but he was the only one to watch for the run, and he made the tackle. He had to do it, or it would have been a first down. The Lions are going to have to punt.
And when was the last time you saw this man, Tom Spladany, back punting for the Detroit Lions? Of course, he and Eddie Murray, the place kicker, walked off, missed the first 2 games. A lot of controversy there.
Well, I tell you, it was a tough decision for Monty Clark because Bob Thomas and John James had done so well those first 2 games as substitute kickers In fact, Thomas was 5 for 5, but they chose yesterday to release them and bring back the 2 veterans from last year.
Back deep is Jeff Fisher, number 24, signals for the fair catch, and will take it at the 12-yard line, and the Bears will break out 1st and 10 from that point. Fans are booing and thought maybe the Lions interfered with the fair catch. You know, you talk about Bob Thomas and John James. They were both former Chicago Bears, and Thomas led the Detroit scoring with 18 points. Right now, Detroit trails Chicago by a field goal.
The fair catch is the Bears 12. There is an official timeout on the...
Johnny, there's still 4:03 left to go in the first quarter at Fulton County Stadium in Atlanta. Look what the Rams are doing to the Falcons. Burt Jones, a 51-yard touchdown strike.
And Tampa Bay still winless, leading Dallas in the first quarter 3-0.
Jets have added a field goal. Pat Leahy from 43 yards out. And the Saints are on top over the Chiefs. 1st and 10 Chicago from their own 12-yard line. Jim McMahon at the throttle right now for the Chicago Bears. Lions may have jumped off sides. This is Walter Payton's initial carry from scrimmage behind the block of Matt Suhey up near the 14-yard line. Call it a pickup of 2. It'll bring up 2nd down, 8 yards to go for the Bears, who lead by virtue of a 52-yard field goal from John Rivetto.
That's a 2-yard gain. 2nd and 8. That's a Bear 40.
Payton now heading for 10,000 yards. You talk about somebody being affected by the strike. Payton, according to nearest estimates, lost about $200,000 for the 8 weeks of the strike. Also lost valuable games in his effort to break Jimmy Brown's record. This was a costly strike for Sweetness, Walter Payton.
Marjoram out wide to the left side, Watts to the near side. They go back to the eye, throw set on 2nd down and 8. Moorhead in motion, pitch back to Payton, looks for a block, cuts back against the grain, gets free at the 15, slithers forward to the 17, loose football, but the Bears jumped on it very quickly. Wayne Smith, Ray Oldham in there on the hit for the Detroit Lions, but Payton, it looked like, pounced on his own fumble.
So we're into a passing situation. McMahon will be under the gun as James Scott comes in to bring in the play. The Lions are going to be able to, well, it's a 3rd and 5. You got him in a situation where it's not necessarily a definite, at least downfield, long passing situation. We'll take a look at Bubba Baker. He was so instrumental in beating the Bears in the first game of the season. He was all over Avellini and Evans and those guys.
Johnny, when James Scott just trotted out, that's about as limber as we've seen in the last couple.
Yeah, he's been a little stiff.
He's been a lot stiff. 3rd and 5. Moorhead in motion from the eye. Shotgun. McMahon is intercepted by Detroit. Wayne Smith, the 3rd-year back out of Purdue. That ball was deflected near the line of scrimmage. We'll show it to you one more time. And watch Smith. The ball was actually deflected from the end zone. You look as if you're the secondary of the Detroit Lions and watch and see who deflects it.
There comes Doug English up there. He's going to, it looks like William Gay might have got a hand on it, and Wayne Smith makes the interception. He's out of Chicago. Went to Harper High School here in Chicago as he cuts back there as Dan Neal's on the tackle after the tackle, and Smith almost broke it loose, but Noah Jackson comes up with the tackle. However, the Lions are on the 12-yard line. Big play.
That interception, you cannot fault the quarterback, Johnny. You look at frustrated Jimmy McMahon over there, who came into this game. Well, we'll tell you about that in just a second. They flood the right side. Backs are Dexter, Bussey, and Billy Sims.
All alone to play Eric Hipple. Hipple will get close to the goal line.
He's about on the 1-foot line. Eric Hipple on the bootleg to the right side. Gary Campbell, the only man between Eric Hipple and a touchdown.
And that's what you call a naked bootleg. Watch the action of everybody. Everybody's going left. Both pulling guards. All indications are it's going to the left, and here comes Hipple. Reuben Henderson comes up to the tackle. He goes over him. Gary Campbell, I believe 59, hits him from the side to stop him from going in. Right there was that Walterscheid and Campbell, but the Lions are down within a half a yard of the goal line. Good play.
1st and goal for the Detroit Lions, trying to capitalize on that interception. Billy Sims tries to go underneath. The Bears were coming over the top. And I believe the Lions lost about a half a yard.
Yes, they did. Sims did not try and go up and over that time. He was trying to bully his way in. And in this day and age, it's pretty tough because you get the submarines and you get the flying linebackers. Did you see Otis Wilson, 55, fly across? He looked like a jet landing at Soldier Field on that play.
Of course, you remember the first time that these two teams hooked up, they each had a very successful goal line stand, but then finally the Lions were able to capitalize when Sims scored the go-ahead touchdown to make it 17-10 in favor of the Detroit Lions.
In fact, Detroit stopped the Bears 4 times from the 1-yard line.
Dexter Bussey is out. Horace King is in. Close to the goal line, but not over again goes Horace King, the 8-year back out of Georgia, 5'10" and 210 as they try to get some muscle in there. But a very brave goal line stand being put on. You look from the goal line now.
You're going to see a flying dark jersey that takes a guess at the hole, just keyed off on Sims, where Sims was going, and that looked like Al Harris who had made the initial contact. But you know, if at first you don't succeed, you try again, and your percentages are best still to go straight ahead and fly up and over, because those linebackers aren't going to always guess the exact spot, and if you can just bounce off and deflect, they've got to go straight ahead.
Billy Sims is back in. Horace King has left, having just carried the ball. Dexter Bussey is in there also. On the rollout, Eric Hipple, and he's got his man wide open. Touchdown, Detroit. 86 is free in the end zone for the Lions. Mark Nichols, a second-year tight end out of San Jose State, and a top draft pick last year.
Okay, they took the chance. He could have gotten sacked back there on the 6 or 7 yard line with the fake in. There was somebody in on him right there. It was Otis Wilson. Couldn't quite get him. Good play, running to his left, throwing right-handed to Mark Nichols. Touchdown, Detroit.
Eric Hipple came in having completed 13 of 36 for 202 yards, averaging about 5.6 yards per completion, 1 touchdown with 2 interceptions. And, of course, as Johnny had pointed out, Gary Danielson had the better stats, 17 of 25. But Hipple gets the call and puts 6 on the board. The point after is good by Eddie Murray, the first time we've seen Murray this year for the Detroit Lions. And so after the interception, Detroit comes right back and capitalized. They took over in good field position. Hipple, a 2-yard scoring strike to Nichols, and the Lions are back in it. They lead the Bears by 4.
That was a similar play. If Lion fans will remember, when Avellini rolled out on that 4th and 1 situation in the first game, the Lions blitzed and sacked him. This time, Hipple was able to get the pass off.
Eddie Murray kicks off. Dennis Gentry retreats at the 29, and he gets across the 29 up near the 31-yard line, where it'll be 1st and 10 for the Chicago Bears. Jimmy McMahon and company, Walter Payton trotting back out. Roosevelt Barnes, 54, along with James Harrell, 51, in there on the head defensively for the Detroit Lions. You know, talking with Maxie Vaughn, the defensive coordinator for the Lions, and Monty Clark, the head coach, yesterday, we talked about the strength of the Detroit Lions defense. They said it's in the pass rush. We said, what is one of your weaknesses defensively? They said pass coverage. So maybe McMahon and the Chicago Bears can take advantage of what the Lion coaches feel is a somewhat soft secondary. Quick out. Intercepted, and Detroit will score again. Ray Oldham, a 10-year veteran from Middle Tennessee, and the Lions lead it 13-3.
Ray Oldham, a smart football player. He saw that ball coming. Emery Moorhead was the intended receiver, and he never saw it coming. Just a quick pass. It's normally a safe pass, but it didn't turn out that way. As Oldham, number 23, he hasn't been hurt by the strikes. Moorhead never even saw it. It was thrown behind him. Actually, the pass was pretty inaccurate, and Oldham takes it, bobbled the ball just like a receiver, tucked it away, took it into the end zone. The Lions, really big play now. It's going to be 14-3.
You know, that ball thrown by McMahon was a very wobbly ball. He didn't really have control of it, Johnny, and there really wasn't much of a pass rush. It was just a quick drop. That's supposed to be a timing pattern. Eddie Murray trying to increase the Lion lead to 11 points, and he ramps it through the uprights. So very quickly, the Lions have struck for 2 quick touchdowns, both as a result of Chicago Bears interceptions, and the Bears have fallen behind by 11. They lost the first game by a score of 17-10. There's Ray talking with Maxie Vaughn, who's got the head on.
And I'm sure Maxie said, nice job. And this is going to be very interesting to see how this affects the Bears' young quarterback, Jim McMahon. You have 2 interceptions and down 14-3 this early in the game. You got to have a lot of confidence to come back and play some football. And let's see if Mike Ditka goes with him. He says that McMahon's going to get a strong shot at it. We'll see what happens as the Lions are going to kick off to the Chicago Bears, and the Honey Bears can't be too happy.
Next Saturday, NCAA basketball back on CBS. Dean Smith's Tar Heels, the defending NCAA champion North Carolina team, taking on the Missouri Tigers, who, of course, won the Big 8 championship for the last 3 years. Gary Bender and Billy Packer will be courtside at the Checker Dome in St. Louis to bring you all of the action as the NCAA basketball season gets underway right here on CBS. It all starts at 1 o'clock Eastern Time next Saturday. The Tar Heels and the Tigers. That should be a good one. Very concerned coach of the Chicago Bears, Mike Ditka. This is a big ball game from the Bears, Johnny Morris, because given the start of the second season, you don't want to start off with an 0-3 record.
Well, plus if you go 0-3 and you only have 6 more games to go, I don't care if there are 8 out of 14 teams make the playoffs, it makes it very, very difficult.
Bad kick by Murray, taken by one of the backs for the Bears up near the 30-yard line, Jerry Muckensturm. That's not the man you want to handle the football in your kickoff, John.
No, he wanted to go after that ball. He said, it's close. He said, I'm going to get it and run. I don't get to run too often. Come on, Jerry Muckensturm.
Okay, first down.
So you can hear some discontent here at Soldier Field from the fans. In Philadelphia, a 3-0 lead. Jim Breach, a 19-yard field goal for the Bengals. As the Eagles have fallen behind, Tampa Bay has added another field goal, and they lead Dallas, and that's a surprise.
We're going to reach the point here where the Lions are going to be able to tee off. You get a lead like that, the Lions are tough to come back on because they have such a good pass rush.
They go to the I pro set. Watts wide to the left side. Moorhead in motion. Walter Payton behind a block by Suhey, and a huge hole. And look out, Payton breaks it all the way up to the 40-yard line, close to first down yardage. Gary Cobb, 53, the 4-year veteran out of USC, free agent in there on the tackle.
And it's a good thing that Gary Cobb can't fall off his position to make that tackle because Payton follows Matt Suhey, number 26, who throws a good block, and you see Jeff Williams block on Fantetti, and you'll see from the backside, here comes Cobb, 53. He fell off his position and his responsibility to the other side and made a saving tackle because Payton was about ready to break that.
Second down and about a foot. This is almost a free down. Let's see how the Bears elect to play it. They're behind 14-3, so they might not want to risk the interception. Walter Payton, first down and more as he gets it up near the 45-yard line. That's James Hunter, the 7-year veteran out of Grambling, in there on the tackle, a first-round draft pick back in 1976. And Walter Payton is starting to loosen up that Detroit defense a little bit.
There he is, in excellent shape. Let's watch the running. He's carrying that ball the way he wants to the inside. They say you're supposed to carry it to the outside, but he saw the tackler from the outside, finally brought down. Payton probably, I've seen a lot of backs. I'd say he's the greatest I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot of them.
From the 45-yard line, the Bears first and 10. Scott to the left side, Watts to the near side. Payton again. Good block, and Payton has got a huge hole again. First down, Chicago.
Emery Moorhead, number 87, had to block Bubba Baker, and they both dug a hole. They went right into the turf. Now, if you'll watch as Payton goes around here, a jab to the left. Now, here's the block right here by Emery Moorhead, right down in front. You see Bubba Baker's down on the ground, so Payton gets to the outside, turns it on. And if it hadn't been for James Hunter there making the tackle, Payton would have gone again. The Bears on the move on the ground.
That's the end of the first quarter with a score. The Lions lead by 11. That game, of course, determines the Big 8 champion and the host of the Orange Bowl game. On Saturday, Notre Dame will be trying to defeat USC at the Coliseum for the first time since 1966. Walter Payton over the left side, close to the 33, down near the 32-yard line. Now, in the first game, Johnny, between the Bears and the Lions, Walter Payton had just 26 yards on 14 carries. Prior to that carry, he had 38 yards on 5. So watch it again.
Okay, let's watch Ken Fantetti. You're going to see Jeff Williams, 74, come in and really collide with Fantetti to prevent him from making the tackle. But Fantetti holds his ground there and kind of jams Payton up so that other people can get in on the tackle. Cobb was there, and they finally bring him down. But as you mentioned, he had 38 yards into that carry, and that's more than he had the whole game against Detroit the first game.
You can't bring a runner like Walter Payton down by hitting him up high. You've got to get him low. Payton behind a block by Suhey tries to slither close to the 30-yard line, but he's stacked up at about the 31. They had second down and 4, so we'll bring up third down and let's call it 4 yards again. He barely got back to the line of scrimmage. Big matchup, of course, over on the right side as you look at the Lions defensive end, huge Bubba Baker doing battle against the Bears left tackle Phil McKinley. And how would you rank it so far?
So far, it hasn't been too much of a decision one way or the other. Neither one has been a big factor in the game, so that would be a plus for the Bears. Bubba Baker has not been a big factor in this game so far.
Big third down play for Chicago. They trail it by 11. We have just started the second quarter. They'll give it to Walter Payton, who's got a convoy on the right side, and Payton slips. Otherwise, he had lots of running room around the right side. Fantetti in on the hip, the 4-year back out of Wyoming, 6'2" and 230, but Walter had all kinds of running room.
Brought down by Fantetti.
Let's take a look at Ken Fantetti. Now, this is not what you call a play-action pass, so he doesn't have to drop back. He has to play off the block, there by Keith Van Horn, goes down the line, and Payton slips, and Fantetti is in on the tackle. And that's what you got to get from your middle linebacker. He's in the middle, but he's got to be able to go from sideline to sideline. Fantetti does it pretty well. He gets a little riled up once in a while, gets an unnecessary roughness penalty, but he hasn't done that so far today.
He wears number 57, of course, one of the Lions' great all-time linebackers, Joe Schmidt, wore number 56. How would you contrast those two, Johnny?
Well, it was a little bit of a different ball game in those days. The way that the Lions used to play it with Schmidt, a lot of times with Schmidt, they would take the middle linebacker and kind of fill the gaps, and he would just go to an empty hole. Where here, you see where Fantetti is reading and following. That time, as soon as he saw Payton's action, he went right with it.
1st and 10, Chicago from the 27-yard line of the Lions. Detroit leads it by 11, 14-3. Flag on the play, and the Bears might have taken a little bit too much time, or there might have been some motion down there.
Well, there was still 9 seconds left to get the snap off, so apparently some illegal motion on the Bears.
The referee today, of course, is Fred Silva. So we'll check the indication now.
False start.
Offense, number 74. Ball start. First down.
Johnny, in talking with Mike Ditka yesterday, as you and I were out at the complex, there are 3 things that he felt were important to winning this game: controlling first down, cutting back on the costly penalties and turnovers, and good indication right there.
That's right. They had, in each game, the offense had 8 penalties, just the offense in each of the first 2 games. You can't win with those kind of penalties.
1st and 15 now from the 32-yard line of Detroit. McMahon gives it off to Suhey, and Suhey knifes his way across the 30-yard line down near the 26. Third-year man out of Penn State, second-round draft pick from 1980. Gary Cobb, Stan White in there on the hit. As you look at Jim McMahon, it's really be careful time. The Bears would like very much to come up with some points now. They've fallen behind by 11 points. 2 quick interceptions have put the Lions out in front after Detroit fell behind 3-0.
Did you know that Matt Suhey was the Bears' leading rusher going into this game, not Walter Payton? He had 49 yards in 2 games. Payton had only 46.
Bashnagel is out wide to the left side. Watts, check it. Marjoram out wide to the right side. On 2nd down and 8. Walter Payton cuts back against the grain, and he turned nothing into a pickup of about 3 yards. They had him stop back almost at the line of scrimmage, and you see that little stutter step that Walter Payton put on right there, and he still managed to slither forward for about 3-4 yards.
Okay, with this kind of a pitch, you can see he's back deep. He's back in a deep position, and he gets a chance to survey the situation. The block comes back. He comes back behind Jeff Williams' block. Noah Jackson is tying up Doug English, and but there's just too many Lions around. But you can see the way Payton weaves. He's ready to dart. Now, a question becomes, he's carried, he must have carried 9 or 10 times. Is he going to be able to go at this pace with 3 days workout?
From the 20 of Detroit, they need 3. They'll go to Suhey. Suhey's got a big block from Jackson, but instead of going outside, Suhey elected to cut inside. Johnny, do you think he might have got the first down if he'd gone outside?
I'm not so sure, because Hunter was up to the outside there, and they had him pretty much boxed in. That's one of those split-second things, but Suhey hasn't got that kind of speed to dip in and dip out and get around the horn.
Now, what do you do if you're Mike Ditka? You're down by 11. You're faced with 4th and 2. Do you go for the 3 points, or do you go for, well?
They're not going for the 3 points, so that's what Mike Ditka is going to do. He brought James Scott in, and when Scott comes in, you know they're not going to kick a field goal. Now, Scott's going to have Hunter man for man down at the bottom of your screen, 89 against 28. That'll be an interesting matchup if they do go with the pass.
And, of course, they've got Walter Payton. Motion on the play, and it looked like number 67, Paul McKinley, 6-year veteran out of UCLA, jumped off sides, and if so, that'll change the strategy dramatically.
Phil McKinley was picked up by the Bears
number 67
as a free agent to fill in when Dan Jiggets had a rough time with Bubba Baker, and so they do have a makeshift line. They picked up a free agent. Reeve Sori is out with a bad throat injury. Jeff Williams, they got in a trade from San Diego. It's quite a contrast in comparison to the Lions' offensive line, which has been together now for 3 or 4 years, a well-molded unit.
Bashnagel will put it down at about the 32. Rivetto already has one from 52. This will be a try of 42. Again, a low kick, and this one he shanks wide to the left side. So Rivetto connects from 52, misses from 42, and there you have another example, Johnny, of what Mike Ditka was talking about, a costly penalty. Instead of going for a first down on 4th and 2, the Bears forced to try for a field goal. They came away short. formation to the left side. Freddie Scotty's in the slot. The backs are Billy Sims along with Dexter Bussey. Little reverse to Sims. Tries to get a cutback block, but nothing doing there. The center, Amos Fowler, was supposed to pick up one of the linebackers. Now let's go to New York for an update on that game between the Los Angeles Rams and the Atlanta Falcons. Brent?
Jim, some of the tackling around the league is absolutely atrocious. Jenkins out to the right, takes the Bartkowski pass, and Perry had him right there and blew it. A 43-yard touchdown. That lets the Falcons back in it. 14-7. Back to Jim.
Thank you very much, Brent. We've got a 14-3 game going on here. Lions looking now at 2nd down and 11. Looked like the Bears might have jumped. It's on, and down goes Hipple in the grasp of number 90, Al Harris out of Arizona State. He came in like a house of fire.
He certainly did. However, there is a penalty flag down, and we'll get the call on that. He was in very, very, very quickly.
Offside, Dan Hampton, number 99, is the preliminary indication. Al Harris had great speed for a man who's listed at 6'5" and 240. He came in there like firecrackers in the shoot.
He did. I would have bet that he was the guy that was offside to get in that fast, but it was Dan Hampton who was offside, so Harris is that fast.
Defense, right tackle. Offside, 2nd down.
Boy, Hipple just barely had the football and took about a step and a half backward, and Harris was in there on it.
You know, if you talk about that drive the Bears had, that's really disheartening. They moved the ball down the field. Payton got big chunks of yardage, and they got it going, and then they wound up with no points. That can be disheartening.
Thompson out wide to the left side. Scott to the bottom of your screen. You see the book on Eric Hipple right there. Bussey in the backfield.
Blitz.
And he read it, and Billy Sims, guilty that time of hearing footsteps. Sims, who came into the game, is the leading receiver of the Detroit Lions. How about that? With 8 catches, 128 yards, averaging about 16 yards per catch, to simply drop the ball as he heard the footsteps there of who else? Big number 90, Al Harris.
Right, and then there was Singletary was out there in front of Sims. As the Bears bring in their special defense, they bring in Bruce Herron, Todd Bell. They have so many defenses. Buddy Ryan has instituted in the Chicago Bear defense over the years. You can't keep up with them. But they have right now 5 defensive backs in there. Make that 6.
Wide receivers left and right. Bears showing a blitz, but they've got the nickel defense in.
Blitz.
Gets the ball away. Incomplete. Closest man to it was number 73, Russ Bollinger, a guard out of Long Beach State, who knew enough to not catch the football. And there are flags down anyway. Jeff Fisher was the man who was putting all kinds of pressure on Hipple. How do you think Bollinger felt when he saw that ball bouncing around in his jersey? You want to catch it, don't you?
That's right. That's your instinct, but he had enough sense not to catch it. There's going to be if they designate him as an illegal receiver downfield, however, it'll probably be a moot point because 4th down will come up, but that ball was intended for the screen pass, and it was just a little bit overthrown, and I don't think it would be a proper call.
Heck, if you're going to get called for it, you might as well catch it,
Yeah,
right?
that's right. He said, let's take it over again. Let me catch the darn thing. Here comes, you see 24. There's Fisher, got through slick and clean. And there you can see the receiver coming out, and the ball was thrown over, was that
King.
Horace King, yes. And it was Bollinger who was called for the penalty.
But the Bears will decline the call. It remains 4th and 6. So from the 28, Dennis Gentry will drop back deep. Number 29, Tom Spladany, will kick it away from about the 15.
He has the wind behind him.
Second time we've seen Tom Spladany, and of course he is just back with the Lions after missing the first 2 games. Almost blocked. Spladany had lots of pressure put on him. And hit. Leonard Thompson. He just simply leveled Dennis Gentry, the rookie out of Baylor. And that's really the responsibility, Johnny Morris, of the up back. You've got to tell the receiver whether you make the fair catch or not.
Well, he sacrificed his body because that ball would have bounced 15 or 20 yards down the field.
Here at Soldier Field. Now watch Dennis Gentry, 29, and watch the collision from Leonard Thompson.
Well, I bet you next time he'll get his arm up and signal fair catch. I'll bet you he does.
But, Johnny, isn't that really the responsibility of the up back on the specialty teams to yell to the man to call the fair catch or not, to take a look at that coverage and try to help out?
Well, it is a responsibility to him, but any punt returner knows you feel, you sense, you know where they are. You really do. And you can't blame anybody but yourself in a situation like that.
Bashnickel wide to the left side. Marjoram flanked out wide to the right side. First and 10, McMahon to put it up all alone in the flat is who else? Walter Payton, and there's a great one-on-one tackle by Gary Cobb. That's a difficult assignment when you've got Payton isolated one-on-one out there in the flat, and you know there's no help behind him.
That's right. Cobb did a nice job because he had to, as you said, one-on-one. It's now 14-7 Los Angeles over Atlanta. That game is in the second quarter.
Packers have got 2 Stenerud field goals to go up on top over the Vikings. That game being played in Milwaukee. Look what the Jets are doing to the hapless Colts. Frank Kush said he didn't think he could have Baltimore ready, and he was right.
Hey, 5-0. Is that the World Series or is that...
Bottom of the 4th inning in Philadelphia. Slot formation to the right side now. Bears looking at 2nd down and 8. Marjoram out wide to the left side. This is Payton in motion to the near side. They'll give it on the reverse to Walter Payton. Good block over on the right side. Good cutback block thrown by number 87, Emory Moorhead, the tight end in his 6th year out of Colorado, to spring Walter Payton around that right side. And around the NFL today, we've got some more scores for you. Kansas City has now scored. They trail by a field goal against the New Orleans Saints down in the Superdome. Buffalo has gone ahead of Don Shula's Miami Dolphins. That game played at Rich Stadium, and they had snow in Buffalo. And look what Pittsburgh is doing in the Astrodome. Terry Bradshaw to Gary Hawthorne, 17-yard pass. Terry Bradshaw's 200th career touchdown toss.
Pittsburgh was 2-0, so they have a chance to be 3-0.
It's 3rd down and a short one for the Chicago Bears, and Payton gets the call. And maybe on second effort, I don't know. He was stacked up very close to the line of scrimmage. He needed to get up near the 46-yard line.
And it's going to bring on a measurement because that is very, very, very close. It looks like he might be a touch short. And they're at midfield, so it'll be an interesting decision for Mike Ditka. The ball, oh boy, is it close.
I think he'll be about half the length of the football shy of first down yardage.
There will be a measurement.
I'd say it'd be about an inch short.
I'll tell you, with 8:49 left to go, I think that Ditka would probably elect to punt the ball away.
You were right, about a half a length of football.
Because if they go for it here, Johnny, and they don't make it, you give the ball back to Detroit in excellent field position, and you're already down by 11.
Well, it's a tough call. Looks like they're going to go for it. When you're 0-2, you're down 14-3. Maybe Ditka says, what the heck, it's only a game.
You don't make it, it'd be a quick road to 0-3, though.
Monty Clark looks a little nervous about it.
They might try to draw the Lions off, and it almost worked. First down for Chicago as the quarterback, Jimmy McMahon, slithered over the left side behind the block of Danny Neal and Noah Jackson. I'll tell you what, you go behind Noah Jackson, there's a hole right there, 6'2", 265.
It's been a long time since he weighed 265, I'll tell you that.
That might be his rookie year.
Yeah, in high school.
Yeah. He came over to the Bears in a trade from the Colts back in '75. It is his 8th year out of Tampa.
You know, the Lions are pretty tough on defense. They're 3rd in defense, but basically they're tough. And one reason that surprises me is that they don't use that much in the way of fancy defenses. They all line up basically, say, come and get us, and usually you don't get them. And that's a tribute to Maxie Bond. Of course, Stan White, who calls the defensive signals out there. Stan White just thinks right along the same lines as Maxie Bond. If Detroit can get you in a 2nd and long or 3rd and long, they got you because they go into that nickel defense, and they're very, very difficult, and they have the pass rushers tee off. The way you beat Detroit is to get that 4 or 5 yards on first down, and then you get them in a bind.
Walter Payton moves into a slot on the right side from the 46 of Chicago. 1st and 10, Matt Suhey behind the wall on the right side. Kind of bucks his way up near the 49-yard line. Pickup of about 2, 2nd down and 8, not much doing. Inside of 8 minutes left to go in the first half. Lions 14, Chicago 3. Stan White in there on the hit defensively for the Detroit Lions.
A gain of 2.
This, of course, the renewal of one of the oldest rivalries in the National Football League. The Lions, by the way, have lost 6 out of the last 8 times they've come in here to Chicago.
And they usually win in Detroit. This series started back in 1934. Papa Bear was already 13 years into this league when they started this series.
Second down and 8, a deep drop. They set up the screen to Suhey, but the Lions defense sealed it off very quickly. That's a good read by the Detroit secondary.
Yes, it was. And anytime you see 4 or 5 people in on the tackle, you know that everybody is hustling. That wasn't a 1-man or 2-man tackle. That was the pass rushers dropping off, getting in on it. Obviously, the Bears didn't hide the screen. As you look back at the drop, there's Suhey, 26. He's in the traffic. He goes around the pass rush. Now watch everybody react, and there will be 4 people. By the time he's tackled, at least 4 white jerseys in on the screen, and nobody out in front of Matt Suhey. Nobody else got out on the screen.
Johnny, after this play, I want to ask you a question about the pass offense so far, the Chicago Bears. Now, double wide receiver to the left side. Lions are a little slow to pick it up. Moorhead is out there along with Marjoram. That's Moorhead in motion. McMahon rushes on, fires it downfield, and he's got it. James Scott out of Henderson Junior College, 1st and 10 Chicago Bears. That's what I wanted to ask you about the Bears' passing offensive philosophy right now. They've been going with a safe, conservative pass, and it was about time that McMahon had to throw it over the middle, try to loosen up the secondary.
Okay, and this try, he's running one way and has to throw it back as James Scott comes across the field. Payton's short, Scott's deep, and he just laid that ball. Didn't have a lot of mustard on it, but it was right in the middle of the Lions' defense, and Cobb has to end up making the tackle. Perfect pass by McMahon on the run, under pressure from Purifoy and Bubba Baker. James Scott, he's got some sore legs, but they didn't look too sore on that one.
They looked sore yesterday at practice, though, didn't they?
Yes, they did.
Out there. 1st and 10 Chicago on the move. They went for it on 4th down, picked up the 1st down, and now they've got a drive going. Walter Payton sweeping the right side, looks for a convoy. Lions try to seal it off, and not much doing around the right side. Another good defensive read by Detroit to close it off very quickly against Walter Payton.
Good play by Hector Gray, number 26. The defensive back came up and knocked down the guards that were coming out, the pulling guards, sacrificed himself with Jeff Williams, and knocked on all the interference. And that's the way a good defensive back should do it.
In talking to the Bears coaching staff yesterday, specifically Ed Hughes, the offensive coordinator, they said to take some of the pressure off McMahon, look for a lot of the short passes to Payton out in the flat, and also to the tight end. They have yet to go to the tight end, Emory Moorhead.
Yeah, they did once, and it was intercepted for a touchdown.
Well, it was behind him, and he wasn't looking. 2nd down and 10 from the 23-yard line. Lions showing a 5-man front right now. That's Payton in motion to the top of the screen. Fumble on the snap, and the ball was never snapped. Danny Neal never snapped the ball, and McMahon backed up.
And you see Fantetti, he picked the ball up to assist the official so he could mark off the penalty.
Another example, of course, of the long 8-week layoff, but certainly the fact you've got a rookie quarterback in there.
Ball start, number 9. 2nd down.
And that's simply timing between the center and the quarterback, but they've had 4 days to get ready. They should have the snaps down. 2nd down and 16 as a result of that walk-off. And again, John, that was goal number 2 of Mike Ditka to cut down on the costly penalties, and they've had a bunch here in the first half.
The Lions still have not blitzed much. They're going with the 4-man rush.
Walter Payton on the draw gets about 8. Fights his way forward down to the 20-yard line. So it'll bring up 3rd down and about 8 yards to go for Chicago. They really have to come away with some points on this drive now, down by 11.
You know, they were talking, both coaches were talking about, hey, we've only had 3-4 days. We got to play everybody, get them rest. I haven't seen anybody resting yet, have you? I mean, there's been very few substitutions with the exception of receivers bringing in plays and stuff like that. Both teams are going with their frontliners, and you knew that's the way it was going to end up. You go with your best people.
James Scott is checked out. Kenny Marjoram out of Stanford in his 2nd year is checked back in. Marjoram is wide to the near side. Fastnagel at the top of your screen as the Bears look at 3rd and 8. Big play time for Jimmy McMahon. Payton in motion to the near side. Here come the Lions. Soft, wobbly ball. Look out. That's a break for the Bears because James Hunter had about 98 uninterrupted yards, Johnny Morris.
He certainly did, and the Bears are going to have to go for the field goal.
The coverage to James Hunter.
That ball was floating up there like a wobbly duck, and if Hunter would have picked it off, 98 yards of artificial astroturf.
McMahon is not a tall quarterback. He's about 6 foot, 185, 190 pounds. Not big as quarterbacks go, but he has good instincts, and now it's up to John Rivetto for the Bears.
Fashionagel will put it down at the 28. This will be a try from the right hash mark from 38 yards away. He's nailed one from 52, missed from 42. This one is up, and this one is no good. It hits the upright and bounds back down.
And the Bears thought it was going to be good. Rivetto had his hands up, and Bastigo had the hands up. They thought it was good. Apparently, at the last second, the ball took a curve. No dice. Detroit Lions still lead it 14-3.
Skins, the Cardinals at the Falcons, and the Saints tangle with the 49ers, the defending Super Bowl champions. It all begins with the NFL today. Check your local listings for the game in your area. Hipple hands it off straight up the middle. Good pickup and a good offensive surge by the left side of that Lion offensive front. Homer Elias, Amos Fowler, as Dexter Bussey picks up 5 yards. It'll bring up 2nd down and 5. Tommy Kramer has come back.
Let's take a look at Gary Fensick here as his reaction. Like a good defensive back, get up there and get your nose in there, because you never know when he's going to bust through, and Fensick was in on the tackle.
Started to say Tommy Kramer's come back, Johnny. A 4-yard touchdown run. The Vikings go out in front over Green Bay by a score of 7-6. Dallas has scored. They've got a 7-6 lead over Tampa Bay right now, and the Jets are on top over Baltimore 24-0. Billy Sims around the right side. Good for first down yardage. Before he was finally chased out of bounds by Reuben Henderson, the second-year defensive back out of San Diego State. And the Dolphins have scored a 23-yard field goal by Uwe von Schaman. They trail Buffalo by a score of 7-6.
And you got to wonder, I wonder if Bob Thomas, he was cut by the Lions. I wonder if he's watching this game or where he is. Rivetto kicks a long field goal, 51 yards, then he misses 2 key ones. Bob Thomas hadn't missed all year, and he's not even playing football.
It's got to be tough on Thomas. I mean, he was 4 for 4 against the Rams. Here's Eric Hipple. Man is wide open to that. Leonard Thompson incomplete. Had it, and it was stripped free. Batted loose by Lenny Waldershot. You're talking about Bob Thomas, 4 for 4 against the Rams. He was the leading Bears scorer, 18 points. Bob James, the punter, had dropped 3 punts perfectly inside the 20, and they were both let go.
Yep. Okay, 6 rushes for 24 yards for Billy Sims. Payton has already carried 13 times for 65 yards. That's an average of, 5 yards a carry.
First time, Sims had 33 yards on 13 carries. 2nd down and 10 from the 32-yard line. Slot formation to the left side. Scott is in the near. Eric Hipple over the middle, got Dexter Bussey out of the backfield up near the 35. Otis Wilson in there on the hit. He closed it off quickly.
Complete. Brought down by Otis Wilson.
Now you see Bussey's at the left of your screen. He comes out. David Hill goes down the field. You're going to see Hill clear, and then Bussey comes out underneath there, and it looks like Hipple's looking for him all the way, and he hits the short man. And there's Otis Wilson, number 55 out of Louisville, on the tackle. Dexter Bussey, the man who made a big adjustment when Billy Sims came to Detroit, made the adjustment, moved over, and has done well.
There's the time left in the first half. The Lions lead it by 11. Wide receivers are left and right. Scott to the top of the screen. Thompson to the near. Blitz is on. Hipple unloads to Billy Sims. Up close to first down yardage. Once again near the 44. Wrestled out of bounds at about the 43.5.
Good play by Hipple, because Todd Bell and Bruce Herron were bearing down. He knew he had to get rid of it and then take the punishment. And you'll see the blitz coming. 2 of them got through slick and clean. Hipple just put the ball right on the dime before Herron gives him the blast, and Sims makes the catch, out of bounds, stops the clock, and that's the way pro football is supposed to be played. It hasn't been so ragtag, has it? They're playing pretty good football. You know, everybody says it's going to look like sandlot football. Listen, it's football. And don't worry, they'll be playing next week, too.
From the 43, 1st and 10, Detroit. Hipple to put it up once again. Got plenty of room, and it's closed off quickly by the Chicago Bears defense. Hipple thought maybe he could run for a moment, and then the 2 men pinched from the outside, Mike Hartenstein, Jimmy Osborne, and that was that. Hipple coughed up the football, but not before the whistle blew. Now, before you say they're going to play next week, we have to explain that there's a vote to be taken on Tuesday. All 1,500 members of the National Football League Players Association have to ratify that tentative agreement. We have 2 of the more militant teams here, the Bears and the Detroit Lions. The New England Patriots voted 16-13 against going back to practice with 27 abstentions. Matt Cavanaugh, Steve Grogan have both called for the ousting of Ed Garvey as the executive director of the Players Association. So there's some teams that have yet to be heard from.
Well, that's true. I think they'll pass it. It might be close. I think they'll pass it. But I think even if they don't pass it, they'll find a way and play without a contract and play football, because I think when it comes right down to it, they're not going to want to go the rest of the season without paychecks coming in. And I think they may vote it. If they do vote it down, I think they'll find a way. They'll say, okay, you vote it down. We're going to play without a contract and negotiate after the season. I think there'll be football next weekend.
Second down, 17 yards to go for the Lions from their own 36. Screen pass a little high for Billy Sims. Tripped up from behind. Otherwise, Sims had some room. You can see the frustration.
Billy Sims forgot that he hadn't been knocked down, and he got up in frustration. He could have run, but the Bears did the right thing. When he got up, they hit him because he hadn't been knocked down by anybody, and that was almost very costly for the Detroit Lions. Billy Sims was thinking back in his college days, I think, that when he was down, he was down.
All right, now let me ask you this. You say it hasn't been ragtag, but there's an example. He hasn't played for 8 weeks. He hasn't been hit. He simply forgot.
Well, that's ragtag of the mind, not the body. Okay, let's take a look. Osborne had the key play there out in the flat as Sims did a good job of making the grab. He puts the block on Al Harris. Here comes the pass. You're going to see Osborne. Great catch by Sims. Now, here was the missed tackle right there by Singletary, not Osborne. I'm sorry. And then he slips right here. Nobody hit him. He gets up and, whoo, Singletary hits him, which is a legal play.
Third down, 16 yards to go for the Lions. Wide receivers left and right. Detroit on top over Chicago, 14-3. Hipple, look out. Finally gets rid of it, and it's intercepted by the Chicago Bears. Picked off inside the 40-yard line. First and 10, Chicago at the 39. Jeff Fisher with the INT.
Well, big play for the Chicago Bears. Eric Hipple, I think, would like to take that pass back. He was under pressure and threw it without really any chance to complete the ball. Couldn't get any mustard on it. It was a...
Watch number 24.
He's
Jeff
up there to
Fisher,
fake the blitz, and he comes back into the flat. Now here comes the pressure by Al Harris, and the interception. It's the Bears' ball.
Experience there.
Well, I think there's an advantage that he's had a system going for 5 years, and Dick has brought in a new system, a lot of the Dallas-type offense, although it's simplified for this game.
McMahon to put it up on 1st and 10, chased out of the pocket, trying to get it down the margin. Got some running room around the right side now if he can get a block, and he's finally chased out of bounds by number 79, William Gay. A penalty flag, unnecessary roughness against the Detroit Lions.
That's a big play. That's going to cost the Lions a lot of yards and put the Bears right down there, and it was really almost unneeded. William Gay has a history of doing that. A couple of times he's had some uncalled for penalties that's hurt the team.
William Gay in his 5th year out of USC.
Unnecessary roughness. Number 79, out of bounds. First down.
So 2 big plays. First, the interception.
And watch this, Jim. Watch the move. When they put the pressure on him, he makes a real quick, nifty move right there. In slow motion, doesn't look so nifty, but it was nifty. And he gets on around here, and you're going to see 79, William Gay, come up here, and it looks like McMahon may have been out of bounds already, and then he puts the hit on him. Unnecessary.
Very foolish and costly play. It's 1st and 10, Chicago at the 24 now at Detroit. This is Walter Payton in the near side. McMahon on the little rollout. Looks for Payton in the flat. Finally chased out of the pocket. Now dumps one off, and he's got Matt Suhey inside the 20. Suhey fights his way down to the 10-yard line. 1st and 10, Chicago.
Pretty good play by McMahon. Not too many quarterbacks will give you that behind-the-back twist and move. You're going to see that by McMahon. They're afraid to take their eyes off. Now watch this move right there, back around. That is an instinctive move that you're born with, and he spots Suhey out there in the flat, and watch Payton get over here. He tries to get a block for him. He's always trying, and Suhey takes it down. It's going to be a first down, Chicago.
And guess who came back to make the tackle? William Gay. 1st and 10, Chicago. When we come back, the Bears on the short end against the Lions by 11. And the 7-year fullback, Roland Harper out of Louisiana Tech, is in, number 35, replacing Matt Suhey. James Scott, 89, out wide to the left side. Ricky Watts to the top of your screen, flanked out wide to the right side. This is Payton. It'll come in motion to the bottom of your picture. And again, the same formation. McMahon to fire over the middle. Incomplete. Looking for the tight end, Emory Moorhead. Moorhead wants interference at about the 13-yard or about the 3-yard line, but nothing doing.
Good coverage by Cobb downfield. The Lions had that one covered well. Everybody was pretty much doubled. They had everybody back down on field. And you notice, well, let's take a look at the play. If you look down right around the goal line, you're going to see Moorhead go down there, and he's going to be well covered. 87 right there. You can see Cobb is waiting for him, and there was no chance. It was covered.
Second down and 10 from the 11-yard line. The Bears, clock, of course, stopped on the incompleted pass. They've got 1:55 to go and 2 timeouts left. The Lions can't believe it. Kenny Marjoram out of Stanford came up with a truly remarkable catch.
Well, it looked like a super catch. Hunter is arguing that the ball was bobbling as Marjoram slid out of bounds on his chest. This is that typical play, just a cornerback one-on-one with the receiver. Now Hunter up, Marjoram with a super concentration on the ball. The ball is coming down. He is down, and looks like he's got it in bounds. Super play by Kenny Marjoram. He deserves the touchdown on that.
Hunter must be shell-shocked right now. Can't believe that Kenny Marjoram, the second-year man out of Stanford, came down with Rivetto to try the point after and see if they can close to within 4. Snap, spot, kick is perfect. And the Bears take advantage of that costly Lion turnover right now, and it closed the gap to a 14-10 deficit. When we come back, the Lions will have 1:49 and 2 timeouts with which to work, and they lead the Chicago Bears by 4. I'd like to see that catch. Preceding message was brought to you by the National Football League. You're about to see the rookie, Jim McMahon from BYU, his first touchdown pass as a professional.
Here's another angle on it for Kenny Marjoram, the young man out of Stanford. You get a better look as it looks like he does have possession of the ball. As he comes down, brings it on in, he's got it, and then he slides out of bounds. So that pretty much verifies the fact that he got it. Nice play, super play.
And equally nice and super camera work. From the 25, the Lions will have excellent field position. At Forrest King, number 25, with a good kickoff return, a rather slithering kick by Rivetto. So the Lions, with 2 timeouts left, have 1:43 left to go on the clock, and have got pretty good field position. There are the stats on the scoring drive. Of course, the 11-yard pass from McMahon to Marjoram. Key on that particular drive after the Detroit Lions' Eric Hipple was intercepted, and the Bears capitalized on it. 13-7 now. Green Bay has gone back out in front over Minnesota. Lynn Dickey to Eddie Lee Ivory from 5 yards out after Dickey hit Ivory for 62 yards to set it up. First and 10 Detroit. Hipple floods the left side, tries to set up the screen. Now it's chased out of the pocket and just wisely throws it away. That was set up to be a screen on the right side, and the Bears did an excellent job, Johnny Morris, of containing the intended receiver, number 24, coming out of the backfield, Dexter Bussey.
And now here comes the official with a flag.
Look at Hipple. Said, wait a minute, Bussey is out there.
And he was actually throwing it. He threw it a double speed on purpose.
Might have hit the right guard.
We'll have to wait and see what the call on that was.
You can see Hipple is not at all happy about the call. He's claiming that Dexter Bussey was actually out there in the flat.
It's up to the official to make a judgment as to whether he was intentionally throwing the ball away or intentional grounding.
Might be there was an illegal man downfield, Johnny.
Let's see.
Offense, number 73. Illegal, downfield. First down.
That's it. You got it. 73. Bollinger, because I guess the screen was taking so long, they got beyond the line of scrimmage down there. Let's see now. You can see Bussey is tied up. And let's see where Bollinger is. Can't see from that.
So it's first and 20, and maybe be careful time now for the Lions. Hipple to air it out. Wide receivers left and right. He'll go with a safe pass over the left side. Incomplete. Intending it for Dexter Bussey over in front of the Lions bench. Johnny, the Lions seem to be using pass patterns that are taking a lot of time to develop. They haven't gone to the wide receiver on the quick out. They've got Freddie Scott, outstanding wide receiver, and they really haven't utilized it.
Well, one thing that's happening is the Bears have been, that time they went with a 3-man rush, but they've been blitzing an awful lot. And they're putting pressure on Hipple right away, so those patterns that are downfield just can't develop in time. So if the Bears keep blitzing like this, the Lions are going to have to change their passing attack.
We'll see what the philosophy now of Monty Clark is on 2nd down and 20, whether he'll elect to play it conservative and run out the first half with a 4-point lead or try to pick up the first down. Hipple looking for David Hill. Incomplete at the 43, but a flag is down. From the back judge, Bruce Herron, 51, the 5-year back out of New Mexico, and he can't believe it.
Well, it was a close call. We'll get the chance to take a look at it and see. And it all depends on whether he contacted Hill before the ball got there. And it looked like a bang-bang play to me.
Doesn't matter whether he did or not. The
Yeah,
official
that's right.
thought he did.
It's history now.
Defensive pass interference, free safety, first down.
Well, again, we go back to the costly penalties. You take another look from the end zone.
Okay, the viewers are going to get a chance to make their own judgment. As you're going to see Hill coming across the field. Bruce Herron, 51, is chasing him. He'll come right across the bottom of your screen. Boy, it's close. He got his hand on him, but
Left hand was on the back. Good call. Hipple. Bears contained. Fires over the middle. Oh, a sensational catch by Billy Sims.
He stumbled right before the ball got there. Took him a little bit off balance. Boy, you can see how wide open the middle is there on that Bear defense. They're going doubled up both sides to the outside, and they're leaving most of the open spaces to the middle.
That would have been a real problem for the Bears defensively, though, if Sims catches that ball in the open field.
That's right.
You get Billy Sims one-on-one with a linebacker, and there just isn't a linebacker in the National Football League, I don't believe, that can stay with Billy Sims.
Okay, the Bears have gone back into their normal-looking type of defense, much more normal.
Mark Nichols wide to the left side. He's got a touchdown catch. Tracy Porter, 89, to the bottom of your screen. Hipple looking at 2nd and 10. Fires downfield over the middle. Intended for Mark Nichols out of San Jose State. Hipple had that ball right on the money. He threw that one on a rope.
Well, he's thrown 3 or 4 in a row right on the rope that were near big plays for Detroit. As we take a look at the replay, straight 4-man rush for the Bears. They just do a twist with the tackles in the ends, and Hipple just puts it up there, and Nichols almost had it. Boy, right there, hits you in the hands. When you're watching films, they say you get your hands on it, you're supposed to catch that football.
Come on now,
They have not thrown a ball to Freddie Scott, number 87.
And he'll catch some before this game is over.
9-year veteran out of Amherst, came over from the Colts in a trade in '78, and he still can fly. Leonard Thompson to the bottom of your screen. Out to the top is Mark Nichols, the 2nd-year pro out of San Jose. It's 3rd and 10 Detroit. Jimmy, big play time for the Chicago defense. Dexter Bussey, out of bounds, will be way shy by about 9 yards of first down yardage. Al Harris, the 4-year right end out of Arizona State, chasing him out of bounds.
Well, that's when you have to wonder why he went out of bounds, because now it's 4th down, and there's still a minute on the clock, and they could have eaten up 20, 25 seconds, or at least forced the Bears to call a timeout, because the Bears have plenty of time. Anytime you've got a minute left, you got a chance to score.
Skladany back at his 35-yard line. Jeff Fisher, who came up with the interception that led to the only Chicago touchdown, is back at about the 15-yard line. Of course, Brent Nerve will have all the scores for us around the NFL today at halftime, including Cincinnati's 11-0 lead over the Philadelphia Eagles. Skladany gets away a beauty. You can hear the Bears coaches screaming, "Let it go." It hits on the 1 and goes into the end zone. He kicked it from the 35, so that was 65 yards in the air, and a Lion is injured down on the 5-yard line.
As far as I know, this is the first injury, isn't it? First injury of the half?
Looks like Roosevelt Barnes, number 54, the rookie out of Purdue.
A lot of people were expecting many injuries because of the short week of workout and being off for 8 weeks, but so far, the players have been pretty lucky.
But there have been a few bobbled snaps from center. There have been a few timing plays, some jumping off sides. Be interesting off of our game, really, when it's over, just how you would vote. Had the strike really affected the caliber of play, or was it the way you last saw the Chicago Bears?
Well, that's kind of the way I last saw the Chicago Bears, but I would say it's been a pretty good caliber of football. There is a replay of the injury. He took the block.
I'll tell you, there's certainly been intensity on the specialty teams for both the Bears and the Lions. Neither specialty team, of course, they don't get to play so much, so they've got to show their stuff when they're out there.
Okay, the Bears have 56 seconds. They're on the 20-yard line. And we will now see if they go for the score.
Now, let me ask you a question. You've got Vince Evans on the bench, who is kind of the big play quarterback of the three. Jim McMahon, along with Bob Appolini. With this much time left to go, just 56 seconds, would you ever change quarterbacks and see if Evans might just throw the bomb because he's got the stronger arm?
Well, you could, except that Ditka has claimed that he's going to go with McMahon. He wants this young man to face all kinds of situations. He's not only looking for this year, but for next year. And he's sticking with McMahon right now. Inside handoff.
Suhey is back in, and the Lions weren't fooled at all. Maybe a pickup of 1. Second down and 9. As you see Watts, number 80, the 4-year pro out of Tulsa, checking in as he carries the play from Ed Hughes, who is, in case you missed it earlier, calling all the plays for the Chicago Bears. Mike Ditka has relinquished the play calling to Ed. And Johnny, he explained that he's just got so much to do that sometimes when you're calling the plays, you lose track of the flow of the game.
And he says he doesn't have any macho pride about it. He doesn't mind letting Ed do it. He doesn't feel that he's doing what he thinks is the best for the team. So we have a 2nd and 9 situation. Now 47 seconds left to go.
Kenny Marjoram, 82, checks out, and number 89 checks in for the Chicago Bears, James Scott. Maybe they're changing the play call.
I'd be interested to see what it's like around the rest of the league. The Bears sold about 60,000 seats for this tickets for this game, and I would say that there aren't, maybe there's 45 or 50, I'm guessing. So there are some people that didn't come to this football game, whether it was a reaction to the strike situation or whether because it's sunny and they want to get in the last golf game, I don't know, but it is not full.
How about the apathy when the Bears were introduced? There was a chorus of boos, and that was quickly covered up by some supporting cheers, but a lot of fans simply sat there with no emotion at all. Their hands were folded, no cheering, no booing, no emotion whatsoever. A lot of apathy here, and as you say, it'd be very interesting to see what the reaction has been around the National Football League.
There was apathy until the players went out for their handshakes.
2nd down and 9 from the 21-yard line. Chicago down by 4, 14-10. Wide open is Suhey, pulls it at the 25, and a good clean hit by number 26 for the Lions, Hector Gray, second-year man out of Florida State, to belt him out of bounds. And Florida State had their hands full with LSU last night, didn't they?
Yes, they did. LSU had 55 points the last time I looked. The clock did not stop. They ruled he was down before he went out of bounds. So it's 3rd down, the clock is running, and so the Bears are going to go into the locker room and settle for being down by 4 points.
You see the clock winding down, time left in the first half. Chicago will currently be content to go out at halftime down by 4 unless they go for one last big play here. They'll try to free up Matt Suhey over the middle to the 30, the 35, and that, barring a penalty flag, will be the end of the first half. The Bears scored first on a field goal. The Lions came back with 2 touchdowns. Then Chicago added their touchdown, 14-10. That's where we are at halftime. And, of course, we'll be joining Brent, Irv, and all the NFL Today folks for scores around the National Football League today. So that's the end of the first half with a score. The Detroit Lions 14, the Chicago Bears 10.
Irv, let's take everybody to the scoreboard, show them some highlights. And yes, there were some no-shows around the league, not only in Chicago. Atlanta leading Los Angeles 17-14, and there we can see Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. A lot of empty seats.
Quite a lot of empty seats, Brent, but I tell you, the Rams look very impressive in their initial offensive drive. Here's Wendell Tyler scrambling off his right end for a touchdown 5 yards out. Bert Jones faking to his halfback here, goes back and hits number 81. Ron Battle is wide open. Apparently a mistake in that Atlanta secondary, and he goes 51 yards for a touchdown. The Rams lead 14-0. But Steve Bartkowski brings his club back as he hits Alfred Jenkins, number 84. Look at there. Perry had him in his arms, broken tackle. Jenkins goes the rest of the way. 59-yard drive, 14-7 L.A. at this point. Billy White Shoes Johnson, one of the most dangerous punt return men in football, latches onto this kick by the Rams. And watch what he does with it, Brent. Pretty nifty run by number 81. The little guy out of Widener can really do it. He brings the ball upfield around 71 yards. And the Falcons from that point go on to score with Gerald Riggs, and they lead the Rams at halftime by a score of 17-14.
White Shoes went up to Canada
He did. He went to Canada. Of course, he was, from Widener in Philadelphia and went to Canada for a couple of years and came back down here and is still doing his thing.
All right. Falcons leading now on that Luckhurst field goal, 17-14. Meanwhile, the Saints, Kenny Stabler is quarterbacking New Orleans today, 10-7. They are still ahead of Kansas City. They are underway in the second half. Detroit and Chicago, the game you're watching, the Lions with a 4-point lead right now over the Bears, 14-10 at the half. And the Green Bay Packers against Minnesota. And the Packers have got so many weapons now that they have Jefferson and Lofton worked into their timing. And there were some no-shows in County Stadium. Tommy Kramer scrambling in here for Bud Grant, and that had the Vikes ahead early. But now watch here. When I talk about weapons, it won't be just Jefferson and Lofton. They can pull Ivory right out of the backfield. They can slot him. This is a 63-yard gain, some sloppy tackling by the Vikes, and that got down to the Minnesota 7-yard line, and it was able to set up a Green Bay Packer touchdown, and again, it'll be Ivory. Dickey will back up, and the wide men have to be so conscious about that speed outside. Of course, that little deflection there, that didn't hurt too much, but that's in the playbook. What the heck? 13-7 right now, the Pack over the Vikers. And Pittsburgh and Houston, 10-3. Terry Bradshaw has thrown the 200th touchdown pass of his career. He is only 4 behind the active leader, Jim Hart of the St. Louis Cardinals. Cincinnati, 3 field goals and a safety, and they are shutting out Philadelphia at the half, 11-0. Buffalo and Miami, both teams 2-0, and the Bills lead on the virtue of an extra point, 7-6. That is 2 Dolphin field goals in that game. And the easiest day of all so far by Walt Michaels and the New York Jets. They are blowing away Frank Kush and the Baltimore Colts, 27-0 in the third quarter. New England and Cleveland are scoreless at the half of that game. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the third quarter have just gone ahead of the Dallas Cowboys 9-7. The loudest ovation of the day was for Danny White. The fans in Texas think he helped bring about a settlement. But some of those folks who were cheering were booing a few minutes later when that Buccaneer interception set up their first field goal. And finally, the Cowboys got on track as Danny White sent Butch Johnson down the middle, and it was a 49-yard play, and it set up this touchdown pass to Drew Pearson. How about this offensive line here, Herb?
Boy, I tell you have to really credit these guys for doing a great job. One of the toughest areas to come around on any football team is offensive line pass blocking. Did a super job.
Herb, how about an overview? What kind of football have you seen?
Well, it's been sloppy, obviously. 8-week layoff, a short week of preparation, and the players, I think, are just a little tentative, too. I haven't seen that, aggressive play that we normally see on an NFL Sunday.
I'll tell you what, the fans aren't aggressive either. They're not back into this thing yet. The NFL today will continue on CBS after these messages from your local stations.
Thank you, Brent Musburger, and hello again, everybody. Jim Kelly, Johnny. Detroit Lions on top over the Bears by a score of 14-10. Here's how we got that way. Somewhat of a surprise, though, Johnny. Look at that. The Bears have out-first down, out-rushed, out-passed, and out-total yards, and out-possessed the Detroit Lions, yet still they trail by 4 at halftime, and turnovers are all even, 2 interceptions apiece.
Of course, the turnovers were the key. That Oldham touchdown has really been the difference for Detroit. The Bear defense has been very strong. 47 yards rushing, 47 yards passing. The Bears has double the yardage the Lions do, so that's the key. And here's the quarterback comparison. Eric Hipple, 8 of 18 for 47 yards. That's not too many yards. Jim McMahon, 8 of 14 for 85 yards. And then as far as the running backs are concerned, you can see that Walter Payton has the best of it, 13 for 65. Billy Sims has carried only 6 times in the first half, 6 for 24. So the stats are all Chicago. The score is all Detroit.
Of course, one of the Lions scores came on the interception by Ray Oldham, where he picked off an errant pass by Jim McMahon and ran it back unimpeded for a touchdown. So,
and then there was that interception before that set up the 11-yard drive. So really 2 interceptions is what really hurt Chicago.
And the Lions have not had to go very far for their 2 scores. There it is. Detroit leads Chicago by 4. As you can see, a perfect day for football here at Soldier Field. A sunny day in Chicago overlooking the shores of Lake Michigan. The 0-2 Bears, the 2-0 Lions. And Chicago with a 4-point deficit to make up. We've got 30 minutes left to go in regulation. As you look at Eddie Murray set to tee it up from the 35, and not called the Windy City for nothing, Johnny. The wind blows the ball off the tee.
It's picked up in the last half hour. I'd say it's a good 10 or 15 mile an hour wind. Bears will have first possession.
Dennis Gentry, 29, along with Ricky Watts, number 80, back deep for the Chicago Bears. 14-10, the Lions on top. Detroit has lost 6 of their last 8 times they've come in here to Chicago. With the wind at his back, Murray didn't get all of this. Watts takes it near the 6-yard line up to the 20, and look out! Watts to the 35 and out of bounds, and he was just one man away from busting it all the way. James Harrell, the 4-year man out of Florida, finally pushed him out of bounds with one hand. Otherwise, Watts was off to the races.
He can run about a 9.500, so if he gets open daylight, he's tough to catch. Ricky Watts.
Up at the 36-yard line, the rookie quarterback, Jim McMahon. He's got an 11-yard scoring strike to Ken Marjoram, to his credit so far this afternoon, with just 1:49 left to go in the first half to bring the Bears back to within 4. Bashnagle wide to the right side. Marjoram, who has a touchdown catch, down to the near side. The backs are Suhey out of Penn State, and of course the great Walter Payton, number 34, out of Jackson State. And this is sweet Walter Payton up to the line of scrimmage, maybe for a yard. Let's call it 2nd down and 9. Sealed off by number 79, the 5-year pro out of USC, William Gay. We'll be keeping a big eye on the battle going on between Bubba Baker and Phil McKinley over on the right side. I think it's been a standoff, though, in the first half, Johnny.
Well, which would have to be to McKinley's advantage, because Bubba usually makes his presence more felt than he has done so far in this game. They've been doubling him a little bit with the man in motion once in a while to kind of keep him neutralized.
Well, he manhandled the Bears in the first game. 2nd down and 9. Payton in motion to the bottom of your screen. Play action. McMahon got his man. Marjoram Chicago at the 48-yard line of the Lions. Bubba Baker with all kinds of pressure in there on Jimmy McMahon. And you see as he gets up.
Super catch by Marjoram. He just has the glue on his fingers. He loves to make those sensational catches, and he always does. Look at that. Like glue. He's got the gloves on. He's still got that touch. Now, we were talking about Bubba Baker and McKinley. Here it is. Baker wins this battle, but doesn't quite get there in time. He gets around the horn. McMahon throws the ball, and Baker takes it easy on, takes him down lightly.
1st and 10, Chicago, up inside Lion territory. Bears on the short end by 4. Pitch back to Walter Payton. Suhey with a block, and excellent defensive pursuit by Dave Durifoy, 75. Little extracurricular activity, and there's a flag on the far side of the field. Noah Jackson, 65, has tempers starting to flare.
It looks like it might be against the Bears.
You know, there was some question about the intensity. We talked about it at the top of the telecast, whether or not the hitting would be more like a Pro Bowl game, if you will, the two sides taking it kind of easy, because as far as the strike was concerned, they were all united with one common goal. Now you're out here banging heads with a guy you were lined up with as far as the strike issue was concerned. But this game, coming out of the black and blue division, the Bears and the Lions, didn't take very long, Johnny Morris, to really heat up.
That's right. And that penalty was against Detroit, so the Bears are down to the 39.
Illegal use of the hand. 1st down.
1st down for Chicago, opening possession. There you can see the book on Jimmy McMahon, 100 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, 9 out of 15. He came into this game 12 of 22, 131 yards, completing 54% of his passes for about a 6-yard average. No touchdowns and 1 interception. Watts to the left side. And another flag on the play. Bears walking backwards.
There sure has been a contrasting philosophy here on
offense. Ball start. Number 65.
On defense, the Lions have blitzed. I can't remember a blitz in this game by the Lions. There may have been 1 or 2, whereas the Bears have blitzed quite a bit, especially during the second quarter. They blitzed almost every play there for a while. But the Lions are going strictly with their 4-man rush and trying to drop everybody else off.
Of course, they felt it was their strength, their pass rush, their weakness in the pass coverage, but wouldn't you try to throw a blitz at a young quarterback?
Plus, with the offensive line, trying to get the timing down.
There's Bubba Baker, the 5-year pro out of Colorado, 6'6", 250 and growing.
There's number 60.
Draft.
Let's see him. He's got McKinley, and there's Emory Moorhead, 87. They try and ram him inside, and McKinley's not able to keep Bubba Baker out of the play.
What do you think Matt Suhey at 5'11" feels like when he feels 2 arms that are 6'6"
right.
grasping it?
You know, one thing we should mention about Baker, he still has that pulled stomach muscle. He had it last year and this year, and he's not 100%. But he's pretty good at 90%.
Don't tell Matt Suhey or Jim McMahon that. 2nd down and 15. Jimmy McMahon, the rookie out of BYU, in the ground for Bubba Baker, and down he goes. Stomach muscle didn't bother him there, John.
No, as soon as we start talking about how he hasn't been a factor in this game, he must have heard us. He must have one of those Walkmans in his ears. He's hearing what we're saying. Okay, it's McKinley who drops off on the regular pass block, and he just gets around him. He just can't hold him that long. And McMahon almost got out of it, but the old one-handed tackle by Bubba Baker.
This drive started, believe it or not, at the 39 of Detroit.
I'd say it's a long third down situation, wouldn't you?
3rd and 27. They show shotgun, flood formation to the left side. Marshall with a touchdown catch to the right. And Walter Payton fires over the middle. Batted away. Incomplete. Number 52 for the Lions was there very quickly. Stan White, the 11-year pro out of Ohio State. He actually had a chance to intercept that.
Yes, the play was well covered, and White tried to catch it with his hands rather than bring it in the old breadbasket as Payton and Marjoram almost collided. Marjoram tries to get deeper than White. Now here comes White in front, number 52, and that ball is there. Had his hands up there and could not bring it in.
Tough to catch a ball with gloves on, Johnny, when you play with a golf glove?
Well, it's tough for defensive players. The offensive players do it all practice all day.
Kenny Marjoram wears gloves.
Yes.
Robbie Martin is back deep, anticipating this punt, standing at about his own 20-yard line. Into the wind, a high, wobbly kick that Martin will field cleanly at the 19-yard line. The Lions will start 1st and 10 from that point, and Detroit leads it by 4. So Eric Hipple and the Detroit Lions offense come out for their initial possession here to start the second half. The Chicago Bears trail Detroit 14-10. We'll be back after these messages.
Martin made the fair catch.
As it all starts with the NFL Today, the Detroit Lions hosting the New York Giants. The NFL Today at 12 Eastern Time with Brett, Irv, Phyllis, and Jimmy the Greek.
1st and 10 Lions at their own 20.
Eric Hipple, wide receivers to the left side. Dave Hill, the tight end. In motion now is Freddie Scott, who has yet to have a ball thrown to him. The pitch back to Billy Sims around the right side, and the Bears defense came up quickly to seal it off. Otis Wilson, who's having himself an all-pro kind of an afternoon here. The man who made the initial hit, number 55, 3rd-year pro out of Louisville.
The Bear defense has been strong all afternoon. It's tough to get a consistent drive against the Bears. They do so many different defenses, and Buddy Ryan, you never know what he'll do. He'll blitz, bring in 8 or 9 people sometimes, and other times he'll drop off everybody and bring in 3, and all kinds of zones, and it's tough to get the way you beat a Bear defense is one big play now and then, and we'll see if that happens.
Tracy Porter out wide to the bottom of your screen. Freddie Scott pitch back. Lions keep it on the ground up near the 23, but not much doing there as it's sealed off by Lenny Waldersheim, the 6-year pro out of Southern Utah State, and Steve McMichael in his 3rd year out of Texas.
Now here come 3 new defensive backs and Bruce Herron, a linebacker. As the Bears will go into their prevent on 3rd down situation. They are the best in the league on 3rd down percentage of passes completed against them. They are the best in the league, and they have been for a couple of years.
Lions are 2-0 coming in. The Bears are 0-2. 6 defensive backs in there now for Chicago on 3rd and 5. Looking at the Detroit Lions offensive set. Slot to the left side. Lone back. Dexter Bussey. Hipple looks over the middle. Fires. Got his man wide open, and it's incomplete. And that time the offensive man turned into a defensive man. Reuben Henderson back there had it in his hands, and Leonard Thompson made a very smart defensive play for the Lions.
Here's the end zone pass. As you can see him dropping off, and it was a throw into double coverage. Leonard Thompson was covered short and deep, and Henderson was down there deep, and the ball was right in the old hands. He couldn't hang on to it as Thompson gave him a little shot afterwards, but the Lions are going to be forced to punt, and it appears that the Bears are going to get good field position out of it.
Johnny, it would appear that Eric Hipple has been bothered by the layoff much more than, say, a Jim McMahon. His passes, for the most part, have been high all afternoon, even the touchdown toss. You look at Skladany now, all set to kick it away, and Dennis Gentry, 29, who took some kind of a hit the last time he was catching the punt back at the 35-yard line. Skladany gets away a beautiful spiral that backs Gentry up to the 28, gets a block, 3 to the 30, to the 33, and down he goes in the grasp of number 59, Jimmy Williams, the rookie out of Nebraska. So that's where the Bears will start from 1st and 10 at their own 33. They trail it by 4. When we come back, we'll give you the update on that Dallas-Tampa Bay game. But right now, a word from these commercial messages.
On 3-yard return, there.
The St. Louis Cardinals with their rookie quarterback, Neil Lomax, and of course, Joe Montana leads the defending Super Bowl champion San Francisco 49ers. Right here on CBS Sports, following our game between the Detroit Lions and the Chicago Bears. 10-14 left to go in quarter number 3. Chicago's second possession. Wide receivers in the slot to the right side. McMahon to throw on first down. Got his man, the tight end, Emory Moorhead. And he is finally knocked down at about the 37-yard line before Hector Gray, the second-year pro out of Florida State, hit him and hit him hard.
Well, look at this score. Green Bay 26, Minnesota 7. If I'm not mistaken, weren't the Packers 2-0? That means looks like they're going to be 3-0. Bart Starr and the Pack may be back.
How about this one? The Falcons were behind 14-0, and Atlanta's come back with 20 unanswered points. Dallas, they trailed early in that game, 3-0. Cowboys at home at Texas Stadium, almost invincible. Second down and 5, and Jim McMahon asked for a timeout. He saw the blitz coming and something else in that Detroit Lion defense that he didn't like, and he'll take the first of 3 timeouts. Don't forget, our Thanksgiving Day game will be the Detroit Lions in action against the New York Giants from East Rutherford. It all starts with the NFL today, and we'll be back in a minute.
Welcome to Miller Time. It's all yours, and it's all mine. Bring your thirsty self right here. You've got the time, we've got the beer for what you have in mind. Oh, welcome to Miller Time, yours and mine.
The best beer for the best time of the day.
Next week, the Bears at the Vikings, the Packers, who are undefeated against the New York Jets, the Eagles, who are having their hands full this afternoon with the Bengals at the Redskins, the Cardinals in Atlanta, the Saints and the 49ers.
And there's a hardy sailor out there. It's cold out on Lake Michigan, I'll tell you that.
He's one of the no-shows. 9:29 left to go in quarter number 3. Bears on the short end by 4. Second down and 5. McMahon incomplete, and here comes the flag. Pass interference against the Lions. It'll be 1st and 10 for Chicago, intended for James Scott, who was wide open, and the Detroit Lion defender did all he could do, number 26. Hector Gray, to pull him down, but he pulled him down before the ball got.
Number 44, pass interference, first down.
We said that Green Bay was undefeated. They are leading by a score of 26-7 against Minnesota. You look at James Scott and how open he was.
There's Wayne Smith making the contact before the ball got there.
Jets are on top over Baltimore now, 34-0. Frank Kush having a tough time with the Colts in his first year, and the Saints have come back to take a 17-14 lead against Kansas City. Just across the midfield stripe, 1st and 10 Chicago. McMahon rolls out of the pocket. Pressure by the Lions. Wants Martin to go down. Blocks it for James Watt. Inside the 15-yard line. 1st and 10 Chicago.
Super play by Jim McMahon, who was directing traffic. The Lions went with one of their few blitzes on that play, and the Bears had a call that ran away from the blitz, and Ricky Watts did a great job. Okay, you can see it was a rollout pass, and they were blitzing. The Bears must have known something, and Ricky Watts coming from the other side of the field. Wayne Smith is chasing him. Watts adjusted his pattern, as McMahon said, get down the field, down deep, and then a nice diving catch, super play. The Bears make something out of a play that was almost a busted play. They're down to the 14-yard line.
Maxie Vaughn and Monty Clark knew their defensive unit, Johnny. They said the pass rush was outstanding. The pass coverage was suspect. 1st and 10 Bears driving for the go-ahead touchdown. Off to Matt Suhey, nothing doing. In the grasp of a host of Lions, including Doug English, 7th-year pro out of Texas, 6'5", 260, who stacks him up at the line of scrimmage.
Jim McMahon is slowly compiling some pretty good statistics after that slow start with those first 2 early interceptions.
You know what else he's doing, though, John? He's showing an awful lot of poise in the face of a tremendous pass rush, looking at Bubba Baker's face mask for most of the afternoon. And with the good instinctive moves, as you've described it, getting out of the pocket, directing his receivers, throwing a touchdown pass to Kenny Marjoram, and that last big pickup to Ricky Watts. Second down, 10 yards to go. Receivers are split both left and right. Lions blitz. Coming with a blitz. Walter Payton. And boy, did he just turn absolutely nothing into a pickup of about 3 yards. They had him back at the 21-yard line. and Payton somehow managed to knife his way forward to about the 13.
He has over 9,700 yards now in his career, and of course Jimmy Brown had 12,312. O.J. Simpson 11,236. Franco Harris 10,445, and then comes Walter Payton around 9,700 yards. Almost, he's heading towards 10,000.
Big play time for the offensive unit of the Chicago Bears for the defensive front of the Detroit Lions. 3rd and 8 from the 12-yard line. Payton in motion. McMahon looks for Payton. He's got his man down inside the 5-yard line. The officials are saying, wait a minute, let's check with each other before they call it. It is a completed pass. And you see Jimmy McMahon down there to help out.
There's a flag back downfield. And from the looks of Keith Van Horn, number 78, the frustration on his face, that may have been a holding call against the Bears' offensive line. We'll have to wait.
Look at Doug English. He is all the way across the field still complaining about the call on the completed catch at the 1.5-yard line, but it looks as if it'll all go for naught, as a penalty against the Chicago Bears will back the Bears up even further. The Bengals of Cincinnati have gone out in front over Philadelphia at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia, 18-0 now. Kenny Anderson, a 2-yard pass to Dan Ross, the outstanding tight end. Los Angeles has come back against Atlanta. They trail now 20-15. Here's Fred Wyatt, the referee.
Deep. Offense. Personal foul. Flipping. 3rd down.
Freddie Silva, the referee, excuse me.
Well, he didn't say who the call was on. He may have called a lineman for clipping out of the pocket area, because McMahon rolled out of the pocket. We'll see if we can pick up the clipping. They're calling it right there. As Purifor was the guy that was clipped. Here's Payton. Did he grab the ball? Looks like he did. What a difference of about 30 yards.
So instead of 1st and goal, it's 3rd and 24. A one-handed catch by McMahon out of the shotgun. He's got lots of room to run. He's up to the 30.
Got a man open.
What poise by the rookie out of BYU, Jimmy McMahon. The snap from the shotgun was high. He pulled it down, chased out of the pocket. Got very, very close, Johnny Morris, to going over the line of scrimmage. He pulled up just about the 29-yard line, and wide open in the end zone was Emory Moorhead.
And he was down there all day. As when McMahon, with that nice instinct that he has, he started to go over the line of scrimmage. He looked, and threw back across the field, and Moorhead just had to wait and hope. It was so easy that he couldn't.
Making a fair catch on a punt. He was so wide open. 7:31 left to go. Chicago takes the lead for the 2nd time. John Rivetta will try to increase the lead to a field goal. He does. And the Bears are back on top. They led 3-0. Detroit came back with 2 unanswered touchdowns. Chicago scored a touchdown just before the end of the first half. And now with 7:31 left to go, a touchdown strike from Jimmy McMahon to Emory Moorhead. The Bears lead by 3. You see the scoring drive, 28-yard touchdown toss from Jim McMahon to Emory Moorhead. That is McMahon's 2nd touchdown pass of the afternoon. He is 12 of 19, 169 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Squib kick. Lions have it to the 35, and they'll start 1st and 10 from that point. Larry Lee, the 2nd-year man out of UCLA, one of the upbacks for the Lions who fielded that ball. But I'll say the Chicago Bears have got themselves, well, they found themselves a quarterback, I think, Johnny, a matured quarterback here this afternoon.
I think that he's done very well considering his first start and considering a couple of bad interceptions very early in the game. We talked about confidence. Well, he has a lot of confidence, and the Bears' defense is tough to come from behind against because they do so many things. The Lions got their work cut out now.
McMahon simply has not folded at all under the face of an awesome pass rush by the Detroit Lions. Eric Hipple from the 35 looks to the flat. He's got his man Dexter Bussey, and he gets a pickup of 6, fights his way forward for 7, maybe 8 yards, as Bussey did most of that on his own, one-on-one, isolated against Gary Fensick, the 7-year defensive back out of Yale. There is Jimmy McMahon, and as you say, he's not very big as quarterbacks go. He's certainly not in the Vince Ferragamo mold.
Well, you notice that when he's gotten out of the pocket is when he's really messed up the Detroit defense. You know, you get a quarterback out of the pocket can do that. You're putting a lot of pressure on. And talk about pressure, Monty Clark has got it on. You know, Eric Hipple hasn't really moved this team that well.
First down for the Lions as Billy Sims goes up and over. Lenny Waltershy, the 6-year defensive back from Southern Utah, in there on the hit. Billy Sims has been contained very well by the Bears defense. The first game between Chicago and Detroit, Sims managed just 33 yards on 13 carries.
And when does Monty Clark think about, is he going to go with Hipple all the way, or what about Danielson, the more experienced quarterback who can pick up on these Bear weird defenses a little quicker than a young quarterback like Hipple, and who has done so well coming in twice off the bench in the first 2 games. Maybe let's see how long they go with Hipple. What if they don't go anywhere on this drive?
First and 10 from the 47 of the Lions. The I formation, Dexter Bussey. The inside handoff. Look out, there's Billy Sims. He can go. Otis Wilson, 55, and number 44, Terry Schmidt, grabbed him around the ankles. Otherwise, Billy Sims was gone.
There's Monty Clark getting a little excited now. If Sims breaks a couple like that can loosen up the defense in a hurry.
Jets on top over Baltimore now, 37-0. Pat Leahy, a 19-yard field goal. Jets are having a field day. Frank Kush, his Colts will be 0-3. First and 10 Lions now at the 36-yard line of the Chicago Bears. Slot formation to the left side. Dexter Bussey fumbles the football. It's free at the 35, but I believe the Lions got it back, and it might be Bussey who got his own fumble back. How about the Oilers? Down 10-0 to Pittsburgh. Houston has come back. Gifford Nielsen, a 9-yard pass. Dave Casper, All-Pro, wasn't sure he wanted to come back. He was happy being a stockbroker.
Well, he's happy he's back now, I'm sure, with the touchdown. We're going to take a look at a few more scores. Atlanta 20-17 now over Los Angeles. That game is in the 3rd quarter. The Rams were 0-2 going in. New York Jets, look at this one, 37-0 over Baltimore.
Second down and 9 for the Lions, who actually got a 1-yard pickup on that fumble. Eric Hipple, Bears coming over the middle, missed his man again. That's the first ball that's been thrown to Freddie Scott, the 9-year veteran out of Amherst. And again, Eric Hipple's passes, Johnny, are high and appear to be off the mark.
Look at Cincinnati, 18-0 over Philadelphia. The Eagles were 1-1 going in. New Orleans could be 2-1. They're beating Kansas City 24-14. Kansas City was 1-1. And you just mentioned the 10-10 score between Pittsburgh and Houston.
Third down and 9 from the 35-yard line of the Chicago Bears. Wide receivers left and right. Out to the left side is Leonard Thompson. Nichols, who has the touchdown catch to the right side. Ball batted loose in the air. And Chicago's got the football. Number 99 for the Chicago Bears, Danny Hampton, 6'5", 255. The 4-year man out of Arkansas came up with that loose football. First and 10, Chicago Bears.
And I think it was Al Harris. I'm not sure. They got only a 4-man rush. Number 90 from the right of your screen gets by Balderschweiler, hits Eric Hipple. Dan Hampton grabs that ball and says, "It's mine. I got it." Puts his shoulder down, and the old Razorback had the football. What are they calling here? They're calling...
Penalty flag is down on the play. Where's the flag?
I don't know. I never did see the flag.
Looks like it's going to be defensive holding against the Chicago Bears. You talk about a costly penalty.
Well, let's see if we can get this call. We'd like to have this explained.
Fred Silva, the referee. They are marking it off against the Chicago Bears.
Defense, illegal contact on the forward pass. 5 yards, first down.
So they're calling somebody was down the field, a receiver was down the field that was jammed beyond the 5-yard limit, is apparently what he's calling.
What a turnaround for both the Lions and the Bears. Chicago would have had it at their own 42. Instead, the Lions have a drive sustained, first and 10 at the 30 in Chicago.
Boy, you talk about a big call.
Hipple still at the throttles now for the Detroit Lions, down by a field goal. Look out. Met head on by Mike Singletary out of Baylor. Singletary, 5'11", 230, a number 2 draft pick last year for the Baylor Bears, and he meets Billy Sims right at the line of scrimmage.
At last count, he had busted 16 helmets. Here's the last play before, and let's see if we can see the jam down the field. There it is right there. You can't do that beyond the 5 yards, and the receiver did get down beyond 5 yards. The calls on Gary Finsick. He jammed David Hill. He used to be able to do that, but not the last few years.
Scott out wide to the left side. Leonard Thompson moves into the slot. Dexter Bussey, Billy Sims are the running backs. Freddie Scott in motion. Scott's open over the middle. Hipple's trying to get it to him. Incomplete. intended for Scott, broken up by number 44 for the Chicago Bears, Terry Schmidt, who's got 1 interception, and good pressure on Hipple by Steve McMichael, 6'1", 245, in his 3rd year out of Texas.
3rd and 8 for the Lions.
Hipple is just not sharp so far this afternoon. His balls have been errantly high. They've been behind the receivers. There's the stats, 9 for 21, 2 interceptions, 1 touchdown. That on an option play.
That's why I say the 17-14 score is a little deceptive, because the Lions defense
The Lions defense converted 1 and gave them the ball at the 11-yard line of Chicago for another. 3rd and 8. Hipple tries to set up the screen, and Dexter Bussey's got 4 Lions in front of him. Dexter Bussey will get down inside the 10 to about the 7-yard line. No flags on the play. 1st and goal for the Detroit Lions. Excellent play call.
You talk about a big play for the Lions. The old screen pass.
Well, you try to take advantage of the aggressive Bears defense. They've been coming. They've been throwing all sorts of pressure at Eric Hipple. And they had 3 blockers, maybe 4 blockers out there around that left side. And it's 1st and goal to go for the Detroit Lions.
Bussey looks to be a little bit shaken up on the play.
1st and goal for the Lions.
How about this from Fulton County Stadium in Atlanta? The Falcons have scored again. Williams Andrews, a 19-yard run. It is 27-17. Falcons over the Rams. Johnny, Los Angeles had a 14-0 lead in that game. Cleveland has scored against New England. Brian Sipe, a 39-yard touchdown pass. 7-0 Browns on top over the Patriots. Ron Meyer, the rookie coach of the Patriots. And for New Orleans, the Saints have gone in front of Kansas City now, 24-17. Horace King is in, number 25, replacing number 24, Dexter Bussey. Billy Sims, of course, the other running back. Freddie Scott to the top of your screen. 1st and goal. Billy Sims. Convoy to the right side, down at the 10-yard line. Loses 3 yards. It'll bring up 2nd down and goal to go. Gary Fensick, the 7-year veteran out of Yale, the first man to get to Billy Sims.
Mike Singletary, Mike Hartenstein, all in on that play. It had no chance from the word go. Watch the bottom to the right of your screen. You'll see the dark jerseys come across the line of scrimmage and just jam it. Steve McMichael forced everybody deep, and here comes Gary Fensick across the line of scrimmage. Hartenstein in on the play, and now it looks like the Lions are going to have to go to the air. Let's see what happens with Freddie Scott. He hasn't been...
Six defensive backs are in there now for the Bears. To the top of the screen goes number 89. That is Tracy Porter, the 2nd-year man out of LSU. Quick count, Eric Hipple. Receiver falls down, and down goes Hipple at the 20-yard line. Todd Bell, 2nd-year man out of Ohio State. He wanted to throw the ball on a post pattern to number 89, Tracy Porter out of LSU, but Porter fell down, Johnny Morris, at the 9-yard line.
And the Bears had the blitz on. They had everybody coming, and the Lions just aren't able to handle the Bears blitzing. They just can't handle it. Sometimes there's not enough guys to have it. There's been some mistakes. Watch from the left of your screen. Todd Bell's going to get a free shot, number 25, as Heron ties up the back, and then boom. Boy, Hipple will take a shot there.
Now remember, the line of scrimmage was the 7-yard line. The Lions need to score. They're backed up now at the 19. And I imagine standing nervously on the Lions sideline right now is number 3, Eddie Murray, who has yet to try a field goal this year. Hipple.
Here they come again.
Looks at the blitz. Fires down the middle, batted away, great defensive play by Reuben Henderson, the 2nd-year defensive back on the right corner from San Diego State, and Hipple is down at the 30-yard line. It'll be a flag against the Bears, roughing the passer. It'll be a 1st down for Detroit, the 2nd key costly penalty against Chicago on this drive.
Boy, it sure was. We'll get another look at that, but Hipple really got shot, and they're going to determine, apparently it's been determined that one of the Bears could have held up after the ball was thrown and put the shot on Hipple. But once again, the Bears brought everybody but the kitchen sink. Everybody came in. Look at the top left of your screen. Ooh, they hit him. A Bear defensive lineman will say, hey, I was in the air. I couldn't stop my momentum. Here's Reuben Henderson on the coverage.
Number 21, personal foul, hand to the head.
Leonard Thompson streaking for the end zone. Henderson comes up and over and bats the ball away at the last second, but it's to no avail now, because it is now an automatic 1st down for Detroit at the 8-yard line. Two big calls.
You can't play cornerback any better than Reuben Henderson did on that play, batting the ball away. At the end, though, as Johnny said, another costly penalty. It'd be 1st down and goal to go. The backs are Dexter Bussey again and Horace King. Billy Sims is out. thrown behind number 25, Horace King. And you really wonder when Monty Clark might think about now going to Gary Danielson, because Eric Hipple, even though he just had his bell rung, really has not been sharp. The balls that he's been throwing have been behind his receivers. They've been wide. They've been high. And Hipple is not sharp this afternoon.
Well, part of the Bears' defensive philosophy is that you put that blitz on, you get people coming after you, that even if somebody's open, you have to rush the ball. You got to rush the pass, get it off without thinking and throwing it off balance. And that's what's happened to Hipple several times, and that's as effective as staying off this normal pass rush and having your linebackers down the field. So it's worked so far for the Bears.
Now Hipple looks and sees something in that Bears defense that he doesn't like, and he takes a timeout. And again, John, let's talk a little bit about Eddie Murray, the field goal kicker for the Detroit Lions. We'll do that when we come right back, because he has yet to try a field goal for the Lions, having walked out and missed the first 2 games. Chicago by a field goal when we come right back.
Welcome to Miller Time. It's all yours and it's all mine. Bring your thirsty self right here. You've got the time, we've got the beer for what you have in mind. Welcome to Miller Time, yours and mine.
The best beer for the best time of the day. Miller High Life.
I like it.
If you really like it,
I really like it.
we can help you get it with GMAC.
We like
With GMAC financing.
When it's time for that new family car, GMAC can help you get it with financing to fit your budget. It's available right here at your GM dealer.
Now at participating GM dealers, get low 10.9 financing on new 82 models.
You look at the Lion Brain Trust, Monty Clark, Gary Danielson, Eric Hipple, Freddie Scott and company. As Detroit trails Chicago by 3, we've got 1:43 left to go in the third quarter. Chicago on top 17-14. Johnny, while we were away, 2nd down and goal to go, you said, well, if you're the Lions, maybe you go a little bit conservative here. You certainly don't want to risk the interception and not come away with at least the tying field goal.
Well, that's one way to look at it. I don't consider myself a conservative observer, but the Lions are having trouble here. They've had near interceptions and fumbles and the blitz and everything. You might want to try and run the ball over. If you don't get the 3 points, get yourself back in a tie, because the Bear offense has a tendency to make mistakes, and you might win that way.
Mark Nichols and Porter are out to the left side. The blitz is coming again. Hipple in trouble, and it's incomplete. Almost intercepted. And you see the tremendous Chicago Bears secondary and the job they're doing on the wide receivers of the Detroit Lions. Leslie Frazier, 2nd year out of Alcorn State, number 21, the man that had a good chance for an interception.
Well, they almost turned the ball over on that one as the Bears came in with their regular 4-man rush that time. But there were 3 Bears over in this territory. Look at that, 3-on-1. And you notice the two receivers there, wide receivers, very close together. You could draw a crowd.
Let's keep an eye on the tight end, David Hill, for the Detroit Lions. He wears number 81, 6'2", in his 7th year out of Texas A&M. Had a touchdown catch in the first game against the Chicago Bears. They haven't looked to David Hill very much in this drive. Touchdown, Lions.
He's throwing it down. No touchdown.
They are going to say he was in the grasp of a Chicago Bear. Eric Hipple is absolutely livid. They're going to say the whistle blew before Hipple released the football. Steve McMichael had Eric Hipple.
Well, that's a call. It's an official's judgment, and it was a new rule put in about 2 years ago, where if the referee feels the quarterback is in the grass and could be risk injury, that they can blow the whistle dead even though he's not down. And I will have to say that Hipple was caught there and was kind of standing there, was vulnerable. He did get the pass off. 5 years ago, that would have been a touchdown, but not now, so they're going to go for the field goal.
Out of the hold of Eric Hipple, Eddie Murray ties up this football game from 34 yards away. So Murray showing no effect from missing the preseason, from not reporting for the first 2 games, and from the 8-week layoff after the strike, bangs it through the uprights with 1:04 left to go. The applause for the Chicago Bears defense, who hurt themselves with 2 very costly penalties on that drive, and in fact had come up with a football. So an awful lot happened on that drive. Let's see if we can pick up Fred Silva's whistle as Hipple was in the grasp of the Chicago Bears.
Touchdown, Lions. He's trailing it down.
Well,
we had it all on that drive, didn't we? Bears had the football, penalty, gave it back to the Lions. Lions were stymied. Another Bears penalty, first down and goal to go. Lions had an apparent touchdown, called back.
I think the question about intensity and desire among the football teams coming back after these 3 days and with the strike situation has been answered. This has been an intense football game. The players are hitting, and so far, no serious injuries reported. Everybody's holding up well, so I guess those cut training camps back now, from now on. Just report and go play football.
You know, to amplify on that too, John, as far as these two teams being two of the more militant teams in the NFL and two teams not expected to ratify the tentative agreement, one of the coaches told us privately yesterday, all it's going to take for our team to ratify this agreement will be a win, how very important a win would be. Ricky Watts fields the ball cleanly in the end zone. The Chicago Bears will break first down and 10 yards to go from their own 20-yard line. And the rookie out of BYU, Jimmy McMahon, who's just had a marvelous afternoon, starts his club first and 10 from that point. We're right back where we were, 17 all, with 59 seconds left to go in quarter number 3.
And there you see Mike Ditka down there in the middle, right next to number 80, Ricky Watts. On the other side of Ricky Watts, still after that first NFL regular season victory.
Walter Payton behind Noah Jackson. Look out. Payton gets first down yardage up to the 31 and almost broke free.
Payton carried, brought down by
Fantetti in there on the hit. If you look at the Bears fans, which are anything but apathetic right now.
Walter Payton having one of his best days rushing since mid-season last year. 1976, he gained 1,390 yards, and 77, 1,852, then 1,395, 1,610, 1,460, 1,222 last year.
So this season's going to look a little strange in the record book to see that Walter did not go over 1,000 yards. 10 seconds left to go in quarter number 3. We're deadlocked at 17 all. McMahon's got a man free down the left side. Fires it out, intercepted by Hunter of the Detroit Lions, a 7-year pro out of Grambling. Picks it off with just 2 ticks left on the clock. Intended for number 89, streaking down the sideline, James Scott.
Except he wasn't streaking, Jim. He was going very nonchalantly down the field. It looked like James Scott didn't think the ball was coming to him as McMahon threw it way down the field. Watch this. Scott is not even looking for the ball. Finally, he sees it's coming, and it's too late for him to do anything about it. Easy interception for Hunter. The Lions have the ball.
That's actually the third easy interception and the first one that you could fault the quarterback for. But as John pointed out, actually Scott wasn't racing lickety-split to get near the football either. Had he pulled up short and turned that pattern in instead of running it downfield, McMahon would have had an easy toss underneath the coverage in front of Hunter. 2 seconds left to go in the quarter. This, barring a penalty, should do it. From the 27 of the Detroit Lions. Maybe to the 28-yard line, and not much more. So we started 0-0 as we start the fourth quarter. We are deadlocked 17 all. The Chicago Bears and the Detroit Lions renewing one of the oldest rivalries in the National Football League. The Lions have lost 6 out of their last 8 that they've come into Chicago.
On CBS Sports, the NCAA basketball season returns as defending national champion North Carolina musters memories of victory to face Missouri next Saturday on CBS Sports. This is CBS.
In my line of work, what I wear is important to my career. What you wear to work could be important to your career, too. Take this pure wool Adams Row suit from Richmond, for example. It's a classic look with traditional styling. These pinstripes mean business. And when you look good, you feel good. An Adams Row suit will give you the competitive edge. Once you try Richmond, no one else will suit you. What you wear to work can get you ahead. What I wear keeps me ahead.
Nobody serves a republic like Republic.
Dear Republic, in years of worldwide travel, I've never had such service, thanks to Mark Bird, Greg Correnti, and Janet Marshall.
Dear Republic, it was my first plane ride. Your people did everything for my comfort and courage. Thank you.
Nobody serves a republic like Republic.
Papa Bear Hallis and George Allen, tonight at 10.
CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Chevrolet. Chevrolet is USA 1, and USA 1 is taking charge.
Two of college football's oldest and most intense rivalries. Enjoy your holiday with CBS Sports and great NCAA football. On Friday, the Sooners of Oklahoma against the Cornhuskers of Nebraska in a game that will determine the Big 8 champion and the host of the Orange Bowl game. And then on Saturday, Notre Dame and USC, one of the all-time classics. You couldn't ask for a better pair of games than these two. Friday, 2:30 Eastern, Saturday at 3:30 Eastern time, right here on CBS Sports. We start the fourth quarter deadlocked, 17 all. Hipple has some protection this time, gets it off in the flat. Dexter Bussey out of bounds at the 32-yard line. A pickup of 4. It'll bring up second down. Al Harris chased him out of bounds. Harris is having some kind of a football game, number 90, as you look him there in the center of your screen for the Chicago Bears. 4-year man out of Arizona State.
A gain of 5.
And after what Washington State did to Washington yesterday, it looks like Arizona State might be headed to the Rose Bowl against the Wolverines.
Doesn't sound right, does it? Arizona State.
And Michigan gets in, even though Ohio State beat them yesterday, right? You saw that
right
on CBS.
Well, Ohio State got stuck in that situation. They had one less game in the Big Ten, and it cost them the Rose Bowl chance.
14:52 left to go. Bears showing the blitz. You see Fensick up near the line of scrimmage, and now the Lions might have taken too much time. Hipple was looking at Gary Fensick and not watching the 30-second clock, and this will back Detroit up 5 more.
That sure changes the situation. That was a third and 4.
Delay. Number 17.
Now it's definitely a passing downfield situation. 3rd and 9, 3rd and 8.
3rd and 9 for the Lions.
Very costly penalties, though, for the Chicago Bears. Dolphins have gone ahead of Buffalo up at Rich Stadium early in the fourth quarter. An Uwe von Schamann field goal. So it is now 9-7, Miami on top over Buffalo. Detroit looks at 3rd and 9 from their own 28-yard line. David Hill, haven't heard much from David Hill. Confusion on the formation, and now Hipple has to take a timeout. You see that Scott and David Hill were simply lined up on the wrong side, and it took them more than the allotted time to get on track. So we just had a delay of game, and then the confusion. We had to have a timeout for Detroit. So 14:51 left to go in quarter number 4. We're deadlocked at 17.
This is the Honda Civic FE running at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The Civic FE is the #1 car on gas mileage. With its 10.8-gallon gas tank, it could run the entire 500 miles at Indy without making a single pit stop, and still leave you plenty of gas to get back home again in Indiana.
Business. To be in the picture, you gotta be good.
Good and fast, like Canon's NP300F. 30 letter-sized copies a minute.
You gotta give and take.
Canon's 300F gives you reduction and document feeding. Even sorts it all out with optional sorter.
In today's leaner, trimmer business picture,
You need the good stuff.
and nothing but the Canon NP300F. Call toll-free for information or see your authorized Canon dealer.
Joe Montana, the San Francisco 49ers, the defending Super Bowl champions, taking on the St. Louis Cardinals. Next, here on CBS Sports. 3rd and 9, flood formation to the left side. Bears with 6 defensive backs in. They're coming on with a blitz again. They set up the screen pass. One man to beat. Dexter Bussey, first down and more.
Well, you'd have to say that was a big play for the Lions. The Bears put the blitz on again. They had 7 rushers that time, and they put the screen out over a little short pass, and Bussey looks like he might have sprained his ankle. Here they come. You see Jeff Fisher is picked up very well by the Lions. And here's the pass, the screen. Good block by Amos Fowler there to keep Bruce Herron out of the play, and Bussey gets down, gets enough for the first down, and is really upended.
Horace King, number 25, will check back in. It was Gary Fensick with the hit. Let's check the stats on the wide receivers and tight ends and backs for the Detroit Lions, if we can pass that chart over sometime before darkness. Freddie Scott has had just one ball thrown to him and has yet to catch a ball. Thompson has one catch for 7 yards. David Hill has 2 catches for 22. But look at this. Billy Sims in the catching department, 2 catches for 7, and Dexter Bussey 2 for 14. So they're trying to spread it out, but really not able to utilize Billy Sims as they would like to.
What happens against the Bear defense, when you beat the Bear defense, it's usually a pass that goes for 40 or 50 yards. You just can't get a consistent drive very well against the Bears. They just do so many different things that you've got to have a 175 IQ quarterback that can pick up everything and make all the adjustments, play in and play out.
From the 46-yard line of the Lions, Eric Hipple sets Detroit down. 1st and 10, I formation. Billy Sims behind a block by Horace King, cuts it up across the grain, and look out as he cuts his way back and gets down near the 45-yard line. A pickup of 9. It will bring up 2nd down and 1. Mike Singletary, second-year middle linebacker out of Baylor, with a big play for the Bears, but not before Sims had rambled for 9. That's a final from the Superdome in New Orleans. The Saints on top over the Chiefs by 10.
So New Orleans has a 2-1 record.
Patriots have just tied it up. Matt Cavanaugh, a 38-yard touchdown pass to Preston Brown. New England 7 and Cleveland 7. That'll be first down yardage for Billy Sims in his 3rd year out of Oklahoma.
It's almost like starting a second season. Remember Billy Sims, as you look at the Cleveland-New England score 7-7, Sims was a holdout and reporter right before the Lions played the Bears before. Now again with 3 days workout.
Well, Sims had some kind of a game against the Los Angeles Rams. The second game, he had just 33 yards on 13 carries in the first game against Chicago, but against Los Angeles, Billy Sims was 25 carries, 119 yards, 5 catches for 103 yards. Only the 13th player in the NFL ever to come up with double 100-yardage games, both rushing and passing. This play by Billy Sims, however, will be called back. As you see Singletary and Walterscheid in there on the hit. Looked like a motion against the Detroit Lions, and this one will come back.
Illegal motion, and instead of a 2nd and 2, they're going to be back at 1st and 15. So quite a difference, isn't it?
6 seconds left to go in the Astrodome inside in Houston. Terry Bradshaw, 17-yard scoring pass to Benny Cunningham.
Offense, number 89, illegal motion.
So that's Bradshaw's 201st touchdown catch.
Tracy Porter is the man who committed the violation.
So it'll be 1st and 15 from the 47-yard line of the Chicago Bears. Tied 17 all, 13-12 left to go in regulation. Little swing pass, and down goes Horace King up near the 47-yard line in the grasp of Mike Hartenstein, a veteran left end out of Penn State.
Brought down by Hartenstein.
That's the second catch by Horace King. Dexter Bussey is over on the sideline with 6 catches and 63 yards and an injury at the moment. Tracy Porter carries in the play.
2nd and 14 at the Bear 46.
There you see the book on Eric Hipple. Those 2 interceptions looming large, but of the incompleted passes of the 15, most have been high and behind the intended receivers. Porter to the near side. Freddie Scott to the top of your screen. 2nd and 15 for the Lions. Man open over the middle. Hipple doesn't have time. Got his man. Reuben Henderson bats it away from Tracy Porter.
Well, that's a case where you're throwing that wide pass all the way across the field because they were on the right hash mark. And
Ball
so that
takes
means
a long time to get
takes
there.
the ball a long time, and the defensive back has time to come in there. And Reuben Henderson almost had an interception. Porter got his hand up there to prevent the interception. But when you're on the right hash mark and you throw in an out pattern back over to the left side of the field, that ball's got to go a long way. It's a dangerous pass.
Final from Shea Stadium in New York. The Jets 37, the Colts nothing. Walt Michael didn't take any prisoners. They need 15. Look out behind. Steve McMichael, 245, a free agent out of Texas in his third year. And Hipple, I think Johnny was very lucky to hang on with a football.
He was trying to throw right up to the very last second. He went forward in the pocket and avoided the rush. McMichael is number 76 there, being blocked by Amos Fowler. Now Hipple wanted to take off, then tried to pass, and McMichael, with a lot of hustle and determination, stuck with it, chased him down and got him before he could get the ball off. Detroit's got a punt.
And you see him go for the ball with that right hand.
That's
he kind of
right.
swung it around like a mallet to try to chop it free.
That's like Dick Butkus used to do for the Bears. I never saw a defensive player could force more fumbles than Dick Butkus.
Skolvany all set. He'll kick it away from about his own 47.
Short.
Dennis Gentry will let it hit. Actually takes a Bears bounce, bouncing backwards. Skolvany put a little English on it. It is finally down by number 51 at the 21, James Harrell, four-year man out of Florida. So we've got 11:23 left to go in regulation. The Lions and the Bears are deadlocked 17. When we come back, Jim McMahon and the Chicago Bears on offense. Next Saturday, NCAA basketball back on CBS. Dean Smith's Tar Heels, the defending NCAA champions of North Carolina, taking on the Tigers of Missouri. Missouri, of course, having won the Big 8 championship for the last 3 years. Gary Bender, Billy Packer, courtside at the Checker Dome in St. Louis. NCAA basketball action Saturday at 1 o'clock Eastern Time on CBS. Walter Payton picks up 5, 6 very hard yards. You could hear the tremendous crunch of the helmets as he's hit by Smith, 44, and Sweetness Payton gets up, no problem.
Did you see that move he put on Cobb? Cobb had him dead to rights, and he gave him a little Soul Train move. Walter once won a Soul Train dance contest, and his feet were moving like he was dancing again as he got around Cobb and collided with Wayne Smith. Eric Hipple, 13 of 29 for 100. Jim McMahon, 12 of 20 for 169 yards.
And 2 touchdowns. Second down and 4 for the Bears. Quick snap. Suhey, quick hole. First down, Chicago. James Hunter, number 28, the 7-year right cornerback out of Grambling, the first-round draft pick in '76, came up to make the hit. But you see the hole open up on the left side.
And boy, they come down on Doug English and clear him out. And there's the trap. Number 65, Noah Jackson, trapped number 60, Bubba Baker, out of there. And it was Alvin. There was a good block by the wide receiver. I didn't catch who that was. He really knocked Alvin Hall. So the Bears are blocking. Good, hard-nosed blocking and a nice trap.
First and 10, Chicago, up near the 42-yard line. Lone setback is Suhey. Quick count, McMahon in trouble. And again gets out of it. He can run. Look out. Out of bounds at the 48-yard line. That you don't teach. That is just pure instinct.
Well, that's, I think, his greatest asset, to be in the pocket, and he just has a little knack of just feeling where they are and dipping under, moving his feet quickly, and getting out of trouble.
Who does he remind you of?
Let's see. Who does he remind me of? Well, a little bit like Tarkenton. He's not the runner that Tarkenton was, but Tarkenton always had a feel when the rush was on him and he could get away from it.
How about Bob Greasy?
Well,
in terms of ducking under the rush and getting out of the pocket and still throwing the ball.
Greasy was not nearly as mobile as McMahon's pretty mobile. But you're right. He has that same little knack. He'll adjust in the pocket well. Sometimes he'll just move 2 or 3 yards real quick like.
Second and 4. Look out. Incomplete. Oh, they said he got it. The Lions can't believe it. It looked like the ball bounced. And Suhey came up with an unbelievable catch.
The officials are discussing the situation, but it looks like it's unanimous that he did catch the ball. But here was another case where McMahon had to make a little quick move and then still had the presence of mind here to throw the ball. And did he catch it? Well, it doesn't look like it, does it?
I don't know. We're going to call Gary Bender and Billy Packer.
Doesn't look like it to me.
Packer and Bender, they handle the double dribbles, don't they?
Yeah, we ought to put a camera down underneath the turf. We've got cameras everywhere else. Why not down on the field? You know, like they do in swimming pools where you can shoot through a glass? Just make it transparent bottom of the field. You could always tell. That's a dumb idea, huh?
Fred Silva and the officials in a conclave down there. Look at the Bears coaches now screaming at the officials. Here's Fred Silva. As soon as he can quiet the Chicago bench.
The pass receiver caught the ball, but he was down by
contact, and he couldn't get up and go.
Okay, he rules the catch was legal, but that he was contacted on the ground and couldn't get up and go. Let's take a look and see.
3rd and 2 for the Bears at midfield.
Well, there definitely was contact. Strictly an official's judgment. It was a contact before he caught the ball, see?
That was a nice scoop by Matt Suhey.
Uh-oh.
First down. They only had to pick up about a half a yard. 34-17. Final score in from Atlanta's Fulton County Stadium. The Falcons over the Los Angeles Rams. Los Angeles had a 14-0 lead in that game, and I believe the Rams are off to an 0-3 start now, John.
0-3.
Ray Malavasi is going to have some problems out in Los Angeles. From the 48-yard line of the Detroit Lions, 1st and 10 Chicago. McMahon to air it out. Got a screen set up. Payton has it slide through his hand, and he had Noah Jackson, all 200 pounds of him, maybe 280 now.
What emotion on Walter Payton. He is such a perfectionist that he drops passes so seldom that he just can't believe it when he does drop one.
I'll tell you, Noah Jackson is about the size of a condominium.
An expensive one.
You could sublet him. 2nd down and 10.
Noah's going to come looking for you after this game.
We may be here a while. 17-all. We may have overtime. That'd be a way to start the second season, wouldn't it? 9:09 left to go in regulation. Emery Moorhead in motion. Pitch back. Walter Payton closed off quickly by the Detroit front four. Joe Ehrman, Dave Purifoy.
Boy, did they put a double team on Baker that time. A lot of times they're using the man in motion. It happened to be Emery Moorhead that time, helping McKinley out on Bubba Baker. Bubba's wondering where they're all coming from.
3rd down and 9. Big play time, obviously, for the offense of the Bears. For the defense of the Lions, clock starts to become a factor. Both teams have been utilizing their timeouts because of some timing problems here in the second half. So
Shotgun.
Wide receivers are flooded out to the left side. To the bottom of the screen, Ken Marjoram out of Stanford. He has a touchdown catch. Jimmy McMahon has room to run if he wants to. Wants Marjoram to come back against the grain. And finally, McMahon is chased out of bounds over by the Bears bench. He couldn't get Marjoram to come back. There you had the right-handed quarterback rolling to the right. And Marjoram was running from right to left. And he, rather than risk the interception and put it up against the grain, just ran it out of bounds.
So the Bears apparently are going to punt as Jim McMahon takes a rest on the sidelines.
The concern of Monty Clark. The Lions came in 2-0. The Chicago Bears with even more concern, 0-2. You certainly don't want to start off with an 0-3 record with only 9 games in the season. The top 8 in each 14-team conference qualify for the playoffs. Robbie Martin back at about his own 11-yard line. He'll angle it for the near corner. He's got a beautiful spiral. And it goes out of bounds at the 6, maybe the 7-yard line. Great specialty teams coverage by the Chicago Bears, and the Lions start out in a hole.
Ricky Watts has been hustling a lot for the Bears on the special teams the first 3 games of the season. Nice high punt. Bob Parsons, for the last 3 or 4 years, has been one of the best in the league at putting the ball out of bounds inside the 20. Detroit has it.
There is a timeout on the field.
After a long day, it's nice to get into your Accord hatchback. While the outside world admires its elegant styling, you can enjoy the ride. Honda now offers a 4-speed automatic with variable assist power steering that makes driving simpler than ever. The Honda Accord hatchback is so nice to get into, sometimes you don't want to get out.
Honda, we make it simple.
Hitachi wants your next color television to be your best. So compare for these features. All Hitachi 19-inch color televisions have wood cabinets. Hitachi has signal tracker control. It automatically monitors and corrects the color picture before you see it. And our 10-to-1 limited warranty far exceeds what many others offer. When you compare, The choice is clear. Hitachi, a world leader in technology.
Jim Kelly, Johnny Morris, welcome back to Soldier Field in Chicago. The Bears and the Lions, one of the oldest rivalries in the National Football League, coming out of the black and blue division. The NFC Central deadlock 17 all, 8:09 left to go. The emergence of a new quarterback for the Chicago Bears, Jim McMahon, with 2 touchdown tosses, has the Bears even with the Lions. You saw that Dallas score. That's the final from Texas Stadium. The Cowboys by 5 against Tampa Bay. Eric Hipple gives it off to Billy Sims, and Billy Sims just barely gets back to the line of scrimmage. Mike Singletary out of Baylor, number 50, in there on the hit, a second-round draft pick from 1981.
He found a little hole there up the middle. Nobody blocked him, and Singletary was able to make the stop as Billy Sims has not been a real big factor in this game, not as big as Walter Payton so far.
Remember, Johnny, they used to call the Cleveland Browns the cardiac kids. Well, with 4 seconds left to go in Cleveland, Matt Barr, a 24-yard field goal to win it for the Browns, 10-7 against Ron Meyer and the New England Patriots. And with 6 minutes left to go, the Dolphins clinging to a 9-7 lead against Buffalo up at the Bills' Rich Stadium. Second down, 10 yards to go. Inside handoff, nothing doing for Billy Sims. This Bears defense is fired up. Steve McMichael, Dan Hampton in there on the hit, and Billy Sims on the inside handoff, nowhere to go.
You hit it on the head. They are fired up. The Lions just can't block them. There were several people that broke the blocks and got through. Dan Hampton was the first one to make the tackle. There's McMichael waiting for him, and there was no chance for Billy Sims. I don't care if you're Superman. You can't make it in the National Football League unless you get a little bit of blocking and get a chance to get started. Now they got a throw from basically in the end zone on a 3rd and long situation. What do you call?
Be careful time if you're the Detroit Lions. Bears are showing blitz. Sweep to the right side. Billy Sims slithers across the 10, maybe to the 12, and really just gets Tom Skladany a little bit more punting room right now. Gary Fensick, who submarined and went underneath, cutting down Billy Sims. So Skladany now into the wind will try to get away a boomer, and dropping back deep is number 29, Dennis Gentry, the rookie out of Baylor. You see Hipple over there calling for the offensive unit to huddle up on the sideline. Lions figure to get at least another shot at it, depending on what the Bears do, with 6:15 and counting.
Skladany has to punt against a pretty strong wind also. So the Bears are going to get good field position as long as they don't fumble the ball.
Wobbly end-over-end kick. And it'll be down at the 47-yard line. No penalty flags are down, so the Bears take over. 1st and 10 from that point. Jimmy McMahon rushing out onto the field. He's excited. The Bears are excited. Their fans are excited. We're deadlocked 17 all with 5:50 left to go. There you see the time remaining. The Bears 17, the Lions 17. Don't go anywhere. We could have overtime. And, of course, coming your way tonight on CBS, it all starts off with 60 minutes. Archie Bunker's Place, Gloria, the Jeffersons, One Day at a Time, Alice, and Trapper John M.D. All following football on CBS. Walter Payton tries to sweep the left side. Maybe a pickup of 1 yard. Brings up 2nd down and 9. Walter Payton has 20 carries for 89 yards. Billy Sims, 17 carries for 64 yards. Jim McMahon, 13 of 22, 171 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Eric Hipple, rather inconsistent, 11 of 29 for 81 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception.
I'd have to go back into the records, but I'd say it's been a while since Walter Payton has carried 20 times in a game. He didn't do that much last year.
Want to bet he's not through? Suhey and Payton are the backs. Watt to the bottom of your screen. Long count. Walter Payton one-on-one, out of bounds at the 44. Stan White, the veteran out of Ohio State, who came over from the Colts in a trade in 1980, wrestles Walter Payton out of bounds. The Eagles trying to come back against the Bengals. Cincinnati led it 11-0 early, then went out in front. And now the Eagles have come back on a Louis Giamona 1-yard run. Bengals lead it 18-14 with 22 seconds left to go in that game. Final from Buffalo. The Dolphins hang on to win it 9-7 against the Bills. Don Shula's Dolphins are out to a 3-0 start and headed for the playoffs. And the Pittsburgh Steelers, after being tied up 10-all by the Oilers, have pulled out in front over Houston by a score of 24-10. Bradshaw, his 3rd scoring strike of the afternoon. on 3rd and 6. All kinds of time. Wide open. The ball is stripped loose and almost intercepted by the Detroit Lions. Hector Gray out of Florida State had it in his hands, and it fell incomplete.
McMahon to Suhey. Incomplete. Broken up by Cobb.
So we have a 4th down situation coming in, and it looks like Parsons is going to punt again. I'll say one thing. Jim McMahon had a tough go coming into this game, his first start, but the Lions didn't make it that tough on him. I realize they have a good pass rush with 4 guys, but they haven't been getting there with the 4 guys. And anytime you get a young quarterback, especially coming back with 3 days workout, I would have to say that you got to adjust your defense a little bit, put some pressure on him, put some blitzes on him. If he does avoid one man, there's going to be another man there, like the Bears have done with Hipple. The Lions have made it as easy as possible for a young quarterback, I think.
Bob Parsons will go for the near coffin corner again. This one is upfield a little bit further, and Robbie Martin fields it cleanly at the 20. Gets up near the 25. 1st and 10 for the Detroit Lions from that point. There's Jimmy McMahon, only 6 feet tall. There are the stats on him so far this afternoon. An excellent performance. You know, you talk about his ability, the instinct to duck underneath the pass rush, to get out of the pocket, to direct the receivers. One of the things for a young quarterback that's so very difficult to do is to pick up the 2nd or the 3rd receiver, and he seems to be able to have mastered that very quickly.
Yes. Can you imagine one man setting 56 records in college? I didn't know there were that many records for quarterbacks or for anybody. 56 NCAA records.
Smart play, Johnny, by the way, going back to that specialty teams by Robbie Martin. Rather than let the ball bounce and maybe bounce backward to the goal line, Robbie Martin came up to field it, and the Lions will at least have medium field position at the 25. And now Eric Hipple connects out near the 42-yard line to Leonard Thompson, the 8-year pro out of Oklahoma State. 1st and 10, Detroit.
Hipple to Thompson. Complete.
Okay, Terry Schmidt, who is playing very loose here, he's back about 8 yards. Of course, he has help. He's got help. He's got Otis Wilson, 55, coming out for the out, but Leonard Thompson came on the inside, and that's the kind of pass you throw against that defense. If he was running the post downfield, he would have had a free safety waiting for him. So the Bears play as many angles as they can, and the Lions will have to take advantage of those angles.
Slot formation to the left side. In motion now goes number 86, Mark Nichols. Billy Sims gets the call and gets it across the 45 up near the 46-yard line. Inside of 4 minutes left to go in regulation. 3:50 and counting. Lions have the football approaching midfield. Bears would like to obviously force some kind of a turnover and get that ball back.
You know, it seems in so many games the Lions always get Sims downfield for one long pass. Every time I watch the Lions play, he hasn't been down there today, except for that one pass where he stumbled it. He would have caught. He could have gone maybe a long ways. But let's see if they can get Sims down the field.
He'll try to go downfield on Thanksgiving Day. The Lions in action against the New York Giants right here on CBS. Up near midfield goes Billy Sims. David Hill throwing a block. Danny Hampton, the 4-year right tackle out of Arkansas. 6'5", 255, a number 1 draft pick in '79, and they're in the hit defensively for the Chicago Bears.
One disadvantage a team has, or both teams have, when you get into a game like this, when you've only had 2 or 3 days workout, is your short list is a lot shorter. There's not as many plays to draw from, and a lot of times when things have been exhausted, you can come up with plays that you had been working on maybe a couple of weeks ago, or trick plays or whatever it is. They just didn't have time to do that, so they haven't got as much to draw from for this game.
3rd down and 3 yards to go. Hipple swings it out to the left side. Not good enough for 1st down yardage. What a hit by Al Harris on the 2nd-year wide receiver Tracy Porter out of LSU. Close to 1st down yardage. I didn't think his forward progress was beyond the chain.
It's going to be very close, and also it's going to be very interesting to see what the Lions do if it is short.
There will be a measurement.
Well, we could speculate, but I would think you've almost got to go for it if it's 4th and inches. You certainly don't want to give the ball back over to the Bears with 2.5 minutes left to go.
This is going to be
wind at their back.
Very, very close. 1st down.
By less than the length of the football. So that takes all the pressure off Monty Clark, at least in terms of making that 4th down call. You'll never know.
Well, we got a barn burner here. 2 minutes and 27 seconds left to go. Tie game. We could have overtime. The Lions are going to have to get down there because they're going to be kicking a field goal. If they go for a field goal, it'll be against the wind.
In motion is David Hill. Pitch back, Billy Sims. defensive penetration by Gary Fensick out of Yale.
Now, see, that's what they do. That wasn't a case of Gary Fensick diagnosing the play and coming up with a good play. It was a case, it was a predetermined defense that he was going to sneak up on the outside of the line there and blitz across. They go by tendencies of what a team does in certain situations. He came shooting across the line of scrimmage. If it had been running the other way, it would have been all to Detroit's favor.
So we're at the 2-minute warning right now. Lions have the football. 2nd and 14. We're tied 17-all.
NFL's most valuable player brought to you by Apple Computer. 1938, the New York Giants' Mel Hein is selected the NFL's first most valuable player. Starting at both center and linebacker, Hein plays 15 seasons for the Giants and never misses a single game. In recognition of his amazing Iron Man performance, Hein is one of the first players inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
My Apple is my manager.
There are more people in more places doing more things with apples than with any other personal computer in the world.
Apple Computer. Produktion, Kontrolle ohne den Apfel? Unmöglich.
And of all these people using apples, most had never touched a computer before.
This is my apple.
Apple, the most personal computer.
There's the time remaining. We're checking now to find out exactly how many timeouts the Lions and the Bears have. Line of scrimmage, the 48-yard line of Detroit, and they've got to get it all the way down to the 38-yard line of the Chicago Bears. It's 2nd down and 14. As you see the concern on the face of Monty Clark, the head coach. No apathy there. Those fans are ready. Football is back here in Chicago. Now, in case you're wondering about Eddie Murray, and we'll try to get you a shot of the field goal kicker for the Detroit Lions after this play. We'll talk about his length, which is generally no problem on field goal tries, but this one would be into a very brisk wind. Down goes Hipple in the grasp of, once again, Mike Singletary. He's been in the backfield with Eric Hipple more than his offensive blockers have. Singletary with excellent penetration here this afternoon.
The Lions just can't pick up the Bear blitz. They haven't been able to figure out the defense. As now 4 more new fresh Bears come in for their special prevent defense. As you look at the wind, they're going to be punting against the wind. Looks like no field goal against the wind. And another factor is that with the conditioning situation this 4th quarter, the team that stayed in the best shape during the offseason has got the advantage now, or during the 8-week strike, I should say.
I'd be surprised if they went to put this ball up and risk the interception on 3rd and 22, at least to throw it deep. Hipple is down again and just barely hung on to the football. Steve McMichael, a free agent out of Texas. The Lions had to go all the way down to the 38-yard line of Chicago. By the time Skladany puts it away, that's about where the Bears will take over. This series of downs originated at the 48 of the Bears. The line of scrimmage now, the 27-yard line of the Lions. A very impressive performance by the Chicago Bears blitzing.
Now they have Dennis Gentry back on punt returns. He's a little bit more erratic on catching punts than Jeff Fisher is, where possession is important. I mean, Gentry can break one a little bit better maybe than Fisher can, but he's not as sure-handed on catching the punt. So Ditka's going for the touchdown or for the big return.
Skladany didn't get all of this one. It's a wobbly kick. And the Bears will break 1st and 10 at their own 42. The Chicago Bears have 2 timeouts with which to work. They've got 49 seconds on the clock. Johnny, a minute ago, we were thinking of checking the stats on place kicker Eddie Murray for the Detroit Lions. Let's check in on John Rivetto, who already has a 52-yarder this afternoon. He has missed from 32. He has missed from 42.
But he also made the one big long one. He has a strong leg. There's no question about it. And he's got the wind behind him. So if the Bears get down to, say, the 35-yard line, he has a shot at it.
Now, if you're Detroit defensively, do you key on Walter Payton here? Do you try to double team him, figuring he's got to get the football?
No, I think they drop off and give you that real little short. They're going to Payton on the run. Oh, big play for the Lions.
McMahon saying, hurry up, let's get the offense back on side. Stan White, 52, in there on the hit for the Detroit Lions. 37, 36, 35, and counting as the Bears go from the shotgun. Flood formation to the right side, slot to the left. McMahon fires over the middle, incomplete and almost intercepted by Gary Cobb, the fourth-year linebacker out of USC, who's wondering why he couldn't hang on to the football.
Tough catch for a linebacker, all taped up like that, but he knocked it down. Did stop the clock, 26 seconds left.
Don't forget, coming up at the end of this game, the defending Super Bowl champion San Francisco 49ers taking on the Cardinals in St. Louis. You're looking at a rookie quarterback right there. And, of course, the Cardinals have Neil Lomax in his second year out of Portland State. He's going to be a good one. Marjoram out wide to the left side. Watts to the near side. Slot formation. Looked like motion on the Bears' offensive line. No flag is down. McMahon chased out of the pocket. Payton is wide open. Now he just throws it down complete to number 80, Ricky Watts, the four-year wide receiver out of Tulsa, who stayed in bounds long enough to make the catch.
So they're down to about the 47-yard line. One more completion of about 10 or 12 yards. The Bears still have a timeout left. As you look at John Rivetto, knows that there is a chance now that he will go for the field goal. 17 seconds left to go. Big job maybe on Rivetto's shoulders.
John, defensive philosophy, again, if you're the Lions. Now, you're getting a pretty good pass rush from your front four.
But they're not. They're not getting that great of a pass rush. Now, the Bears in this situation would probably, with only a 10-yard completion, would probably try and put pressure on the quarterback. The Lions would probably drop off.
But it's 1st and 10 from the 45. Clock starts on the snap. 16 and counting. Long pass. Wide open is Emory Moore. Take another look at Jim McMahon, the rookie out of BYU. Almost his third touchdown toss.
Moorhead got behind the defense, came over the top of his head, almost squeezed his way into the end zone, but was stopped at about the half-yard line. And there are 7 seconds left in the football game. And the Bears, I would say, in a pretty good position.
Johnny, they're not even going to risk another play from scrimmage. They've sent Rivetto in there. Jimmy McMahon, you look at the Bear rooters right there, has come over on the sideline accepting the congratulations of head coach Mike Ditka and others over on the Chicago sideline. What a magnificent throw. How does the tight end get that free wide over the middle?
Don't ask me. The one question I ask is, they really didn't put that much pressure on McMahon. They went with the four-man rush, and most of the second half, McMahon has had all the time that he has needed to throw the football, and I think that has been the tactical mistake of the Detroit Lions, and I think you got to give the Bear Lions some credit. They blocked against the four defensive linemen much better than they did in game one. They doubled up Bubba Baker quite a bit, stopped that rush, and the Lions didn't adjust to the situation, and I think it's going to cost them a football game.
Well, that was my question before the last play that I started to ask you, is why wouldn't they try to blitz, put a little bit more pressure on? They were getting a decent pass rush from the front four, but I think you've got to give as much credit to McMahon for getting out of the pass rush and escaping as you do to the front four of the Detroit Lions for not getting to him. How about this for an opening game? 16 of 27 for Jimmy McMahon, the rookie out of BYU, 233 yards, 2 touchdowns, almost a third right there. Had Moore been able to stretch it out about another length of the football, he would have had his third touchdown toss. And Mike Ditka right there, nervously pacing. Played racquetball yesterday with general manager Jim Finks, on the verge of picking up his first win as the head coach of the Chicago Bears.
And the Bears will be right back in the hunt with the new conference situation, 1-2.
Basnagel will put it down at the 8-yard line. This will be an 18-yard field goal for John Rivetto. He's missed from 32, missed from 42, and nailed it from 52. Lions will be coming. The game hangs in the balance. The Chicago Bears go out in front with 5 seconds to go, 20-17.
And who remembers the football strike now? Nobody.
Good point. It'll be interesting to see how the Bears will vote come Tuesday.
Well, if they change their vote because of winning one football game, I would say that their principle isn't that strong.
Watch Rivetto. Watch the reaction right here as it splits the uprights.
John Rivetto, Brian Baschnagel, the Bears player rep, two happy young men. Now we have 5 seconds left in the game, and the Lions are desperate now.
I suppose if you've got a reverse or some kind of razzle-dazzle, you might try to pull it out here, but you really haven't had the time this week to work on that kind of a play, have you, John?
No, I don't think they'll give him a chance to pull off a reverse or anything. I think they'll probably give him some kind of a squib kick, and so that they have trouble getting possession, because they don't want to have somebody run it back 80 yards on them for a touchdown, and there's always that possibility. A kick return is a funny animal, boy, I tell you. If you get a little daylight, you find that one hole, you can go.
Clock will start as soon as the ball is in the possession of a Detroit Lion. Robbie Martin is back deep. Nobody in the stadium expects that it'll go deep.
He could kick it out of the end zone. He's got a strong leg. No.
Clock starts right now. Alvin Hall, forget it. Bruce Herron in there on the hit. There is 1 second left to go, so it's do or die time for the Detroit Lions. As you look at the Chicago Bears, who have now increased their series lead over Detroit. The Bears came in having won 54 games, losing 40 and tying 3 in the series with their NFC black and blue opponent, Detroit Lions, a series that goes all the way back to 1934. The Lions now have lost 7 of the last 9 times they've come into Chicago.
Well, I guess you have to go with 3 men out to one side and throw it up and hope and pray that you get a deflection like the Atlanta Falcons did there a couple, 3 years ago. They made 3 or 4 of them work where they sent the receivers down and throw the ball. Let's see what happens.
Well, the Lions are having all kinds of problems deciding what 11 they'd like to go with. They've got 12 men out there now, but they couldn't decide on who was going to be out. They'll flood the right side. And look at the defense the Bears have got. 3 deep backs. This will be the last play of the football game, barring a penalty. Batted away by Gary Campbell, and the Bears have their first win. And look at how the ecstatic Chicago Bears will leave the field. First win for head coach Mike Ditka. John Rivetto, whose 18-yard field goal was the winning margin, 20-17. But the story of this game, the poise and the patience of Jim McMahon. 16 of 27, 2 touchdown tosses, 233 yards, and a Chicago Bears defense that bended but didn't break here in the second half. There is Jim McMahon, the rookie out of BYU.
He's got to be a happy young man. He passed the test. Mike Ditka showed a lot of confidence in him. Went with his rookie, had never started an NFL regular season game, wound up with 233 yards passing. And to tell the story a little bit more, there were some clutch passes in there where he was on the ropes and made it come through, and the Bears won the ball game.
So the Bears, with their first win of 1982, up their record to 1-2. The Detroit Lions dropped down to 2-1. The Lions, of course, will be in action on Thanksgiving Day.
Victory yesterday, Johnny. You expect it?
I hope for it. I can say that. You did too, didn't you?
Sure.
Great. Watch out. The Bears may be headed for the Super Bowl. Great rally for a 2017 win over Detroit yesterday, but one had to wonder before and early in the game. Yes, the players got the old raspberries for their 57-day-old strike and the new traditional handshake before the game. Then when rookie quarterback Jim McMahon got off to a rough start, Bear fans figured same old Bears. This Ray Olam interception and touchdown gave the Lions a quick 14-3 lead. McMahon had 2 early interceptions in his first NFL regular season start, but he didn't lose his confidence. McMahon proceeded to tighten his belt and run the Lions defense ragged. Time and time again, he scooted away from the pass rush and completed big passes. Tight end Emery Moorhead was wide open for that touchdown. And a great instinctive move by the former BYU Flash for this completion that kept a key drive alive. There was no way Coach Mike Ditka was going to yank Jim McMahon.
No, he's not a quitter by any means, and he's the kind of guy you like to have out there working for you, because you know one thing you're going to get all he's got, and you're going to get it, all day long. He's not going to quit on you.
You know, if the coaches would leave him in, he would eventually pull it together, and he did. He didn't change his personality in the huddle one bit from the interception to the last play. He was the same all the way through, and that's what it takes to be a consistent quarterback.
And what about Kenny Marjorum's grab for a touchdown? Nice play over James Hunter for what the official called a score, but he was wrong despite Marjorum's fine job of acting. We have a Channel 2 minicam shot of the play that the regular telecast didn't have. Slow motion, and you'll see that the ball bounced on the ground a couple of times. And the Bears get a bad call later this season. Remember this break against Detroit. But still, the Chicago Bears played very well. Walter Payton was a workhorse again. He had 87 yards in 21 carries, and afterwards, he didn't even have a single bruise.
It's up to the individual, what he wants to accomplish out of life or anything. And during that layoff, I was working out, every day. And we paid it off because I feel better than I did at the start of the season.
Did you get tired at all in the fourth quarter?
No.
And let's take a look. With seconds to play, McMahon came up with a game winner. Emery Moorhead got open, dragged his way to the 1-yard line to set up John Rivetto's game-winning chip shot field goal.
It was a curl and go, and I was primary receiver, and we had saved that play all game. And Jimmy just laid it up there and gave me a little room to go run to it, and it was a perfect throw by him and a perfect call by the coaches.
How come you didn't squeeze into that end zone?
Oh, I was dragging, I was trying. I think if I had an extra 10 pounds, I might have been able to get him over.
Great rally, but when all is said and done, it was Buddy Ryan's defense that won the game. The defense held Detroit to 152 yards, frustrated quarterback Eric Hipple all day. 7 sacks, a lot of harassment. The Lions couldn't handle the rush. The team was inspired and obviously were able to put the strike situation out of their minds.
I was glad to be able to put it out of my mind for a few hours, and I think that in the past, if I've had contract negotiation problems or there's some players in our team who are playing out their options who may not be happy, you have to put all that aside because you have a responsibility to your teammates and the coaching staff, and when you go on that field, you're ready to play football, and I just don't have time to worry about anything else except who I'm going to cover and whether or not I'm making mental mistakes or not.
So the Bears won, and word comes the players won't vote on their new contract for a few days. Don't worry, even if they fail to ratify the new contract, I'm sure they'll play the rest of the season and worry about that situation later. And now for our special guest, quarterback Jim McMahon, who was 16 of 23, 233 yards. A great start, first NFL regular season start, and I know from talking to you in the locker room afterwards, Jim, that you were really upset there at the beginning of the game and a little bit shook up.
Well, Johnny, the way I started the ball game, I was just terrible. I couldn't figure out why I was throwing the ball so poorly, and I was just happy to be able to come back and do some of the things I did to help us win.
But Kenny Marjorum, you heard him a minute ago say that you acted the same throughout every huddle after you had made those mistakes. You were very calm. What did you do? Figure you had to hide it from the other players? Or?
Well, I've learned long ago, Johnny, if you're a quarterback, they look to you for leadership, and you can't let them know that you're getting down on yourself. So I just try to. I was mad at myself, and I kept it to myself, or tried to, and then just go out and be as positive as I can and help my team just, get the ball in the end zone.
We got some videotape I'd like you to take a look at. One thing that I really think that you do well is that instinctive move that you have to get out of the pocket and get away from the rush. Do you think it's instinctive, or have you been able to do this your whole life like this?
Well, ever since I've been playing, I can remember having the ability of presence of mind on the field, and I try to, always know where everybody is on the field, and I think that really helps me at times.
Now, here's the big play that went to Moorhead down to the 1. Can you tell us a little bit how that developed?
Well, I think the coaches made a great call here. We were expecting double coverage on our outside receivers, and we figured Emery would be one-on-one with one of their 5th defensive backs, and that's what happened. And the guy just, he had a hold of Emery all the way down the field.
There he is, at the bottom of the screen.
Right, yes. The guy was still chucking him. There should have been a flag thrown, but there wasn't. Emery was able to maintain his balance and catch the football.
I'll tell you, that's quite a beginning for you. When you went home last night after the game, what did you think about it?
Well, I didn't go right home, really. I stayed around with a few of the players, outside the locker room there, and then myself, my wife, and Kenny Marjorum and his girlfriend went out to eat, and we discussed the game and went back to my house and watched a movie and still talked about the game. So we had a good time, and I just came here from the show. We were out playing tennis, me and Kenny together, and we had a good time.
Okay, you know, I have something here that we should mention first, that the Packers beat Minnesota yesterday 26-7, so they're now 3-0. Bart Starr is still kicking up there in Green Bay, but I've got a play that I want you to see, that Stanford, California game, and if you viewers haven't seen, you won't believe it if you haven't seen it. Take a look. This was the last play of the game, 4 seconds to go. Stanford led by 1, 2019, so California figured all they could do is play a little rugby. 5 laterals. You ever seen a play like this? And watch it. There's the lateral right there with a controversial lateral, and then you're going to see the band get into the act here. They say the weakness of the Stanford defense was the brass and the band, because you're going to see Moen run right over the trombone player there to get into the end zone. And can you believe the officials had a conference for several minutes after the game and declared it a touchdown?
Me and Kenny discussed this play on the way to our game yesterday. You know, Kenny had thought Stanford had won the game, and then as we drove down to the ball game yesterday, I was reading the paper and told him just how exactly they did lose the game, and he couldn't believe it.
I understand California is now going to put that play on videotape, the University of California, and sell videotapes for people who want to buy it for posterity. That's quite a game. The UPI college football ratings are out for this week. Georgia remains number 1. BYU is not in the top 10, Jim. The Bulldogs, who were idle over the weekend, rate first ahead of Penn State. Nebraska's third, followed by SMU, Pittsburgh, LSU, Arkansas, UCLA, Oklahoma, and Clemson. And in hockey, let's take a look, a little videotape of the Blackhawks. Oh, we're not going to have that. We are out of time. The Blackhawks beat Detroit by a score of 3-0, a shutout for Murray Bannerman, so the Hawks got another streak going after losing to the Islanders over the weekend. And Jim, we're all out of time, but a nice start. And listen, Bear fans are happy you're around.
Thank you, John.
Good luck on the rest of a short
Thanks.
season. Thank you, Johnny. For those of us old enough to remember, November 22nd, 1963.